Browns fans, are you ready to take your fandom on the road? Join True Fan Travel, an official fan experience partner of the Cleveland Browns, and travel with other Browns fans like never before. Everything is taken care of. Flights, hotels, tailgate, game tickets, transportation, food, drinks, everything that's important to Browns fans. Each trip will also include an exclusive meet and greet with former Browns players. Visit TrueFanTravel.com today and reserve your ultimate Browns travel package.
Time for the Burning River Sportscast. Football is back, and what a week it was. Stadium rendering sent quakes through the fan base as the relocate or rebuild conversation continues to heat up. Brandon Ayuk trade talk seems to have fizzled out, as rumor has it he wants nothing to do with Cleveland. And let me be the first to say, while I once supported this trade, it appears we may have dodged a huge bullet from this cowardly, whiny little whip of a man. I hope you drop every ball and give away each of your routes for all of eternity. The football frenzy continued as this week Cleveland hosted the annual Browns Backers President's Summit, bringing representatives from all over the globe to the land. Not to mention we had real, live, action football played this week with performances to analyze. Who stepped in and who stepped up? We'll break it all down for you next on the Burning River Sportscast.
Football was being played again, which was fantastic.
I love football!
The injury bug has already gotten us. It's already bitten us. Luke Whippler,
Ouch.
David Bell, the Venus flytrap.
The bone man would argue maybe he's just not drinking enough milk.
Well, there's that, but I don't know his diet, so...
Well, maybe Kevin Stefanski should be checking on that.
Maybe the nutritionist is the guy we should be talking to.
Maybe Stefanski is the nutritionist.
For some reason, I highly doubt that, but I thought you were Thunder, though.
Oh, I am Thunder. I'm Thor.
No, I'm Thor. You're Thunder.
I'm Thunder.
You don't have any hair. You can't be Thor.
Regardless,
They're simply delicious. Caramel apples need to stop.
all animals die.
That's
We
true.
all die.
Okay.
We'll all face that.
I don't
moment.
like where this is going. But anyways, look for the giant rabbits next
Come
time.
into this world alone, and you leave it alone.
Can I get on with my hot three?
Okay.
Funnel cakes for me is
Funnel
I
cake.
love funnel
Do a
cakes.
little chocolate frosting, a little bit of strawberry stuff.
No, I just go powdered sugar, man. It's
Just straight
yeah,
raw
like
dogging it?
yeah. I just like it as is.
Funnel cake to the face.
Yes.
You know, like if Deshaun can't handle the load like he used to be able to,
Yeah.
like if the load is too big,
I'm a child
if there's
over
just
here.
way too much load.
Yeah. F
them.
F them all.
Interesting. We also got to see up close in our face the tight ends, and then just round in the bottom because he's got so much ass. Like people get hot.
Yeah.
They've been waiting a long time to get hot though, so that's why.
Well, I'm getting hot about them getting hot, and they need to stop getting hot because they are too hot.
There's just a lot of load going on.
Nobody's hotter than Red Hot Ronnie James. Nobody.
That's fair.
Nobody.
Bullshit. Welcome into the Burning River Sportscast presented by the fine folks at Tapin Media. I'm Kenny Thunder, as always, seated beside the man who wrote the award-winning cannibal cookbook, Bite Me, Red Hot Ronnie Jams. We are boneless again this week. Typically, I'd make a joke about him making love to a Jonas brother, but I would like to take a moment and recognize our very own Bone Man as a local hero.
He's out there saving lives.
He has been tirelessly out on the streets for several days now, working with thousands of other power workers trying to restore electricity to the hundreds of thousands in Northeast Ohio that went out during last week's storms. I don't know that we often take the time to recognize our local utility workers enough, but
No, typically the only time we recognize them is then when we're pissed that the power's off.
yeah, you know, it's like we always think of like cops and firefighters, but like try going a day or two without water or power, and you're looking for a hero. And that's exactly what all these guys are, including, again, our own Bone Man. So thank you for what you do, and hopefully everyone's power will be restored shortly.
Yeah.
Back to Red Hot. Where can our listeners find the dopest dope they ever heard on a podcast, as well as the unofficial podcast of Cleveland Browns backers everywhere? In fact, Big ups to the chapters that have made us the official podcast of their chapters. Our friends in Naples, Robert, the chapter of the year, looking to be the first chapter to repeat as chapter of the year.
Ooh.
And Cliff Colson and company out of 5280. We thank you for your support, and we look forward to having more backers join and making us officially their favorite Browns podcast.
Hell yeah. So first of all, before I tell you where you get your podcast, I just got to say, wasn't that such a great name for my cookbook? Bite Me?
Yeah, that's clever.
Yeah, good. Anyways, you can find our podcast wherever you get your podcasts. I'm talking to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Amazon Music, YouTube Music, Pandora, iHeartRadio, Podcast, Castro, Good Pods, and so many more. And don't forget to subscribe on YouTube, the only place that you can find our video podcast. And check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Our handle for all of those socials is at Burning River Sportscast, and we are on X, the artist formerly known as Twitter, as well with the handle at Burning River Pod. And while you're at it, check out our merch, www.thetapinmedia.com/shop. Get yourself some of the newly listed River gear.
River.
Burning River.
River.
River is our dog mascot, in case you didn't catch last week's show. Woo. There's also Dustin Greater Than Justin shirts in there.
That's because Dustin is greater than
Dustin Hopkins greater than Justin
Tucker.
Justin Tucker, yeah.
Mother Tucker.
He's so not good, even though he's a Hall of Famer, that I forgot his name.
That's right.
But yeah, we got all kinds of stuff in the shop, so check it out. Buy some.
Awesome.
But on today's show, this is what you can look forward to. Hey, that's what my daughter says. So you bringing back Snail? On today's show, you can look forward to a recap of the first preseason game, some injury news, and subsequent signings to cope with those injuries, updates from camp, the field design poll winner, more stadium news, some more trade rumors involving a top-tier wide receiver, and some updates from our time at camp. Well, Kenny's time at camp. I wasn't there. And the Browns Backers President's Summit. I was there for that. So put your right foot in and take your right foot out. Then put your right foot in and shut the hell up, because it's not time for the hokey pokey. It's time for the Burning River Sportscast. And let's get this thing started like we always do with the Burning River News Story of the Week. All right, so Kenny, what's one thing we can all agree on?
That we should send a team of oil core drillers a la Armageddon to Mars to have them access the newly discovered reservoirs of water trapped 7 to 12 miles under the surface that, when released, will cover the entirety of everything on the planet less than a mile high.
Wow, that is not at all what I had in mind. But yeah, we should probably do that. But no, we can all agree that taxes on tips are stupid.
Bullshit.
Nobody should be taxed on tips.
No.
Well, with the presidential elections coming up, it has been worked into Trump's platform that he will do away with taxes on tips. He announced this a while ago, right? It's always kind of been part of his platform.
A while ago, yeah.
And this past week, Kamala Harris came out and said what? She said that if she is elected president, she will do away with taxes on tips. Good news all around so far, right? But it does beg one question. What's that question, Kenny?
Well, to me, it would be like if you believed that you didn't want to have taxes on tips, that you would just not tax tips anymore because you're in charge.
So you're talking about Kamala Harris, right? She's
Kamala
vice
Harris,
president.
yes.
So why doesn't she just talk about it now and get it taken care of?
That's a great question. Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense if you're the party in charge that you would campaign on that. Like, just do it. Like, no one else is in a position to do it except you.
I'm not. That's for sure.
And this isn't like a complex, like something that needs comprehensive reform. Like looking at, like, we don't try not to get too political on the show, but like this isn't border security, right? We don't need like weeks of legislative like counter arguments to be like taxes on tips are bad. Like everybody pretty much agrees. If you're making $2 an hour waiting tables, we shouldn't tax then your tips. Like that sucks.
Yeah, it's not good.
But there's one person on the planet right now that really could do something about it.
Joe Biden.
Joe Biden and his vice president, Kamala Harris.
Yeah. And so I guess, yeah, I mean, I don't know why it's not been done already, if that's part of the platform. Like what better way for Joe Biden to go out, right?
Yeah, like she could take that to him and say, like, Joe, like, you want to go out on a bang? Like, not only does everybody universally think this is a good idea, it would also steal from our opponent something that is like a plank of his platform. Like, what part of doing this now would be bad?
I don't know.
And not only would that build momentum for you, like it would position yourself better for your race in November.
Right. I mean, like if part of Trump's platform, and again, we're getting just slightly political, but we're not saying who to vote for, none of that stuff. But if part of Trump's platform, just from a strategy perspective, is I'm going to get rid of taxes on tips, and you came out tomorrow and said, well, we just did.
Yeah, you eliminate a whole part of his platform.
Yeah.
And people love it.
Yeah, I mean,
because like right now, like if you look at it objectively, it looks like A, you stole his idea, and B, you're holding the country hostage until they vote for you.
Yeah.
We're going to remove taxes from tips after you vote for me.
Right. So I guess my whole point in bringing this up and making this the story of the week is for the past 8 years, we've had to decide between dementia and felon. And now we've got vote for me or else we'll still tax tips. So I don't know. The big thing, though, is no matter who's elected, apparently taxes on tips are going away.
That's true.
That's something we can all celebrate.
Yes.
No more taxes on tips.
Agreed.
So whoever you vote for,
no more tips.
Anybody that makes tips is going to win.
No more taxes on tips.
Yeah. All right.
Victory.
Victory is ours. All right. So that'll take us to the Burning River Rundown. All right. So Browns preseason 1 recap is what we're going to start off with on the Burning River Rundown this week. And so really, let's be honest, it's a preseason game. There's not really a lot to talk about.
Well, it was football.
It was football. That's fantastic. I was excited to see people in pads hitting each other.
I was excited to see people in pads hitting each other. I was excited to see just the orange helmets on the field.
Yes. I'd agree with that. And
what I don't like is the fact that they were at home in all white. I know it's summertime. They're trying to maybe keep guys cool, but I hate when they do the all white like 10 games a year.
Yeah, I agree.
Give me my brown and orange jerseys and pants. I like it.
I agree. The brown.
I'm afraid. The reason I'm afraid of it is because they went to the white face mask this year. So I think they look like studded out in all white.
So you think that's just like a whole season we're just gonna get all white?
I think we're gonna get all white a lot.
It's gonna be white out nonstop. Yes. And the worst part about that is we picked a terrible time to do that with our helmets and everything, just because luckily we were on the front end of it, but now I don't know if you noticed in the offseason, like 3 other teams added all white everything.
Yeah.
So it's like now we're just part of this big trend, even though it's in our we're one of the only teams that it's in our actual history that's what we wore at one point. It looks like we're just doing the trendy thing and all white everything.
It also kind of reminds me of like the 99 Browns, like not good memories.
No.
Maybe for older folks.
No. But yes, so football was being played again, which was fantastic.
I love football.
It really gets your blood boiling. Yeah. But I mean, it was pretty uneventful other than the fact that it was a preseason game and we had injuries, which we'll talk about in just a second. But overall, we didn't really open up the playbook at all. We didn't do anything to really try to win the game. It was clearly more of like a live practice for the Browns than anything. It kind of seemed like they had their scripted plays that they were going to do, and it didn't matter what the defense threw at them. They were like, these are the plays we want to run, so that's what we're running.
Yeah. Well, not only that, I think it was, you hear the term vanilla with these games a lot. Like this was the most
vanilla.
Pale white vanilla they could come up with.
Yeah.
And there's reason. They don't.
Is there a pun there with their uniforms?
They don't. Yeah, they don't want to give anything away, which is fine. But like, it was just also very boring football to watch.
Yeah. So I don't know. As much as I'm excited that football is back in general, I kind of hate the preseason because it's just so.
Well, yeah. I mean, I wish we could just
it's like I'm so hyped up to watch the game, and then I watch the game, and I'm like, that was.
Well, I've always said I don't know why they can't do joint practices, and they do them for like 3 or 4 days during the week anyway.
Yeah.
Why not just film those and put them on? I mean, people would watch that. People watch Hard Knocks,
right.
Well, why wouldn't you just if we could watch the Vikings and the Browns this week? I would.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. I don't really know. Preseason's just so annoying sometimes because of that. I'm just
the only thing
I finally got hyped up for game day, and then it's just always such a letdown in preseason.
The only thing I was super looking forward to was to see how they handled the kickoffs, and those guys kept kicking out in the end zone. I was like, I hate you guys.
Which don't you start at the 30 if you kick it in the end zone now?
Yeah, 30 or 35.
Yeah. So I hope that's not what happens in the regular season. We actually see some kickoffs.
Well, Cade, he can't control it.
He can't control anything.
No.
But he can still kick it a mile. We'll get to that too.
Yeah, he kicks so far, it goes in the end zone.
Yeah. 2 notes I do have from this thing, though, is the Browns quarterbacks all looked pretty solid, in my opinion. It was nothing that kind of you were like, oh my God, these guys are fantastic. But they were super efficient. I think as a team, the quarterbacks were like 85% or something like that. I think Dorian Thompson-Robinson was right about 14 for 18.
14 for 18.
Tyler Huntley was 6 of 9. Jameis Winston was 4 or 5? I thought it was 5 of 7, but 4 or 5. So, yeah, I mean, they were like 85% as a team, very efficient. They didn't find the end zone, but ton of completions. They all looked pretty sharp, especially for backups. Like, I think that's what's lost in this whole thing is these plays are all scripted. They're not going away from the script, and they're backups. Like, these guys...
Well, I think Jameis threw for like 40 yards, and Huntley threw for like 50. So, like, it was just like a lot of like very soft underneath stuff, layers to backs and things. The only thing that stuck out to me was, like, do you make anything of Huntley being the second in line over DTR, or is this a matter of the Browns have 4 quarterbacks for the first time in a while, and they just are kind of maybe going to mix them up during the preseason?
I think... After reflecting on it a little bit more, because at first my initial thought was, maybe Huntley's like the actual, the number 3, and DTR is going to be going to the practice squad. But the more I reflected on it, I actually think that we can't say anything yet, one way or the other, because there's 2 more preseason games. So for all we know, the next game, Huntley could have 20 throws and DTR have 5.
And it does make sense when you think about, like, Tyler Huntley, if you looked at him and DTR, needs less work. I mean, there's getting reps in your system, which is important, but the dude's been a playoff quarterback before. I mean, DTR is still very, very young and raw. So it makes sense to get him the time, I guess, with the backups.
Absolutely. And you kind of, to that point, you know what you have with Huntley coming in. So, like, it's like...
Yeah. And my big thing about the quarterbacks this year is, like, look, we know it's Deshaun.
Yep.
And we know it's Jameis.
Yep.
Jameis looks fine.
It's one of the few times that we know the starter and the backup that I can remember.
And I think we got to be really careful then with, like, whether it's Huntley or DTR, especially DTR, though, like, not getting too hyped up on this guy, because he's going to probably have, if he plays the most during the preseason, he'll have the biggest numbers. He'll have the most opportunities to throw touchdowns.
We don't want to repeat of last year where everybody thought he was
and we thought he was really good
last year. He was ready, and he wasn't ready.
And he came in and won a game for us, whatever, but, like, let's
he clearly wasn't ready.
Let's make sure that, like, we keep an arm's length there.
Yeah. And then my other note from the game is, I mentioned it just a minute ago, the injury bug has already gotten us. It's already bitten us. Luke Whippler. Luke Whippler, unfortunately, went down with a broken ankle, got rolled up on one of those freak accidents. We were fortunate that he avoided a break in that leg, which is that's what I feared at first when I saw it. I was like, oh, God, I hope he didn't snap his leg in half. And he didn't. It was at the ankle, which is a much more manageable injury. And they're saying there's a chance he could come back later in the season. Whereas if it would have been his leg broke and it probably was done. So.
Just really unfortunate, because I think a lot of us have hopes that he'll be the heir apparent to Pochik eventually and is going to come in and be a boss.
Yeah.
But just young talent.
And everything was kind of moving in that direction. They keep saying he's having really good camps. He's grown as a player exponentially since he's gotten here last year. It is super unfortunate. In a corresponding move, though, the Browns traded for center Nick Harris,
our old friend.
So this trade was kind of brilliant. It was all they did was give up a 6th rounder for Nick Harris and a 7th rounder. So you literally just dropped back 1 round at the tail end of the draft next year to get Nick Harris.
Look, and I don't want to dig like way too deep into this or overthink this too much, but I was also thinking Nick Harris has been a guy that's been around under the old coach of the offensive line, under Callahan. So I think that was important to them in the back of their mind that this guy was brought up the right way, as opposed to trying to go get another backup from another roster.
Right. He knows the system. He knows the how you guys do things over there. I think it's kind of a no-brainer. You need a backup center.
Yeah.
There's one right there, and it's not going to take much to get him.
Yep.
But yeah, so another injury that happened during this game, David Bell, the Venus flytrap, which I hate to say, he went down.
Caught himself
with a quad injury that'll keep him out a couple weeks, and he's already kind of on the bubble of the roster. And I think this pretty much does it for him, in my opinion. I think he's going to be one of the cuts when we go down to the final 53, and I think David Bell's time in Cleveland is coming to an end.
I mean, he better just hope that he made a really strong impression on somebody at some point that wants to hold on to him, because you lose that opportunity. It's tough in a crowded room.
The absolute worst time to have an injury like
Especially when, the guys that looked probably the best during this game were the really young guys.
Yeah.
Jamari Thrash and Marion Brown were your leading receivers. So.
Yeah. And then finally, Jordan Hicks, undisclosed injury, but they say he's week to week. So I'm sure in the coming weeks, if it doesn't get better, we'll find out what exactly happened there.
Yeah, and undisclosed almost makes you think like it's maybe
not serious,
like personal. Maybe it's not even an injury. They're just designating that for now, and he'll be back in a couple of days.
Yeah. So one thing I do want to point out real quick here is I saw a lot of chatter on just all the social media and everything is there's a lot of people that are like, oh, we need to get rid of the strength and conditioning staff because we've had so many injuries the last couple of years, like all this stuff. And first of all, there actually was some new strength and conditioning coaches brought in the offseason. So we've already done that. And second, like we talk about
practice.
And one of the things that they said was it's all lower leg injuries. Okay, well, the Luke Whippler injury was like a freak thing. Like that's how often do you get your leg rolled up on like just in the right way that your ankle's going to break? Like,
well, yeah, I mean those guys get their legs rolled up on all the time. It happens on every play, but to the point where it's
completely planted and stuck in the ground, and you snap a bone. Like there's no and it's a bone issue. There's no amount of strength and conditioning that's going to stop that from happening.
The bone man would argue maybe he's just not drinking enough milk.
Well, there's that, but I don't know his diet, so
well, maybe Kevin Stefanski should be checking on that.
Maybe the nutritionist is the guy we should be talking to.
Maybe Stefanski is the nutritionist.
For some reason, I highly doubt that. Oh. But yeah, I just want to say like this.
Maybe he should be the nutritionist.
My point of this whole thing is that this injury and a lot of the injuries they've had, to be honest with you, have nothing to do with strength and conditioning, and we've just been unlucky more than anything in the last probably year and a half with injuries.
Yeah.
So,
you can finish out your.
That was it. That's what I had.
I mean, you can finish out your preseason stuff here.
Next up here, Aiden Robinson got the lone touchdown for the Browns. I was excited to see that. I've been saying I think
the guy we've been waiting on.
Yeah, I think he's gonna. You're gonna kind of see the ascension of Aiden Robinson to where he wins a roster spot. I don't know how much he'll play throughout the entire season, especially once Nick Chubb returns, but. I do like Aiden Robinson and the potential that he has, so it was pretty cool seeing him get that touchdown. And then Cade York kicked a 55-yard field goal in this. Couldn't keep it out of the end zone on kickoffs, but he did kick a 55-yard field goal. So dude still got that leg.
Yeah.
Does this just make you think maybe Dustin Hopkins has anything to worry about? No,
because he's signed an extension. But I do think that they will keep him on the practice squad as long as they can. In the event that something happens to Dustin during the season, Cade, hopefully this year, would be a viable replacement.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that was kind of the whole goal of bringing him back, is they know that really nobody's probably going to sign him. So it's like, put him on the practice squad, and then we have an insurance policy.
I know you have like the defense up next, but there's not a lot of notes there. I just wanted to just say, in general, this preseason game, I go back to Jameis Winston gave a pretty fiery opening speech on game day, to which he said, be obsessed with the opportunity. And to me, that speaks to especially the younger guys that are fighting for a roster spot. Like, this is your moment.
Yep.
And look, various factors contributing, scheming, not really a thing, vanilla offense, all these things. I didn't see a lot of guys fighting for their life out there in that running back room or that receiving room.
Yeah.
To me, it was almost a little lukewarm, disappointing. I mean, we've heard all this talk about Matt Landers, and it seemed like he got some time and had one catch. I think there wasn't anything that I walked away from that game going like, gee, that dude impressed me. And if you're obsessed with the opportunity, you're trying to make a name for yourself, those are the moments that you have to do.
Yeah.
And I think the defense actually, despite getting just beat up in this game, some of the young defensive guys actually did show up in that way. When you look at like we talked about, Khalif Hayalassi, Justin Hardy, like some of those guys that are younger guys that led the team in tackles for the night. Like, good on them.
Yeah. And the defense was absolutely shredded by Jordan Levin, by the way.
Yeah.
But to be fair, it was a starting quarterback, the highest paid quarterback per year in the NFL right now, going up against all backups, essentially.
I mean, he threw 2 passes total.
Yeah.
I mean, he just made it count.
Yeah. Yeah. So here's the thing. Overall, no matter what the score was, no matter any of that stuff, this is a preseason game. And I think that's what people need to understand is, and I'll get further into this later, but people tend, not just in Cleveland, all over the place, people tend to overreact.
Well, we're excited. We haven't seen football.
I understand, but people overreact to preseason games. Like, trust me, the stuff that's happening right now, this team that you're seeing is nothing like what the team's going to look like during the season.
Agreed.
Because hardly any of our starters are playing. Even when they do play, they're playing limited time. No matter who's in the game, they're running, again, scripted vanilla plays. They're not opening up the playbook. They're not scheming to win. They're just trying to run things to make sure they're running them correctly. They're more or less getting down fundamentals than anything in the preseason games. It's a tune-up. It's not like, hey, we're really going out there doing our best and trying to win this game. So
agreed.
It drives me nuts every year.
I just hope that, again, from my perspective, like I hope that somebody steps up and like we leave the next week going, wow, like that dude could play. Because I mean, there was no surprises to me in this game.
Right, I agree. Yeah, and so as for camp this week, the Minnesota Vikings come to town for joint practices before preseason week 2 on Saturday. I believe it's Saturday this week, isn't it? Saturday game, Sunday game, Saturday, Sunday?
I think it's a Saturday game.
Saturday game. I got it right the first time. But no, I'm excited about Minnesota coming to town because the joint practices, they're really important to see where the team stands because that's where you get some of these like, number ones versus number ones just to see, exactly how they stack up, who's winning those battles, and what our team's probably going to look like this season. So I am excited to have them come to town. I will say this, it was announced that Deshaun Watson will get the majority of the reps in joint practices this week as he's been cleared for contact. However, he will not play in this week's preseason game. And coaches have said that Watson will play in the preseason finale against the Seahawks. So this was kind of a weird thing for me. Like, I don't know why they announced this and why they made like such a big deal about it in today's, news conference or whatever, press conference or whatever.
News, but it seems like it's a week early regardless.
I was just like, what's okay? Yeah. Cool.
I mean, maybe just because most people assumed he wouldn't play at all in the preseason.
Well, and I actually, the other thing, and we talked about this off air, is I would rather him play this week against Minnesota and not next week for the finale. That way he's got a week to rest before the season comes.
Right.
So I don't really, if he's taking all the snaps in joint practices against another team where there's contact, even though the quarterbacks aren't supposed to get hit, they often get at least bumped and jostled and whatever else.
And
like, why are you taking all those shots all week and then not playing?
Watson's one of those guys who's going to get hit more often because of the game he plays. He's just a more mobile body. So he's going to take some hits probably in a preseason game.
Yeah.
I don't know. Strange, but I mean, great. We got something to look forward to.
Yeah. So, for preseason week 2, is there anything with the Vikings particularly? I mean, we're not going to really see them this season, but is there anything you're looking forward to seeing from them in the preseason?
I think it's the same thing as last week, right? It's like J.J. McCarthy's the new shiny toy over there. Obviously, we're familiar.
Hey, J.J. McCarthy.
With J.J.
I don't give a damn for the whole state of Michigan.
Showed himself pretty well last week, and he's
still the new shiny thing. Like, people are still talking about him.
11 of 17. I think he threw for almost 200 yards and 2 touchdowns. So he did have a pick in there somewhere. I mean, their quarterback room really is. I mean, they got Sam Darnold on the roster. So,
see, the presumed starter is J.J. McCarthy.
I think Sam Darnold is probably the presumed guy, but
that's only going to last half the season.
I think it could last like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
It's like that's like as soon as J.J. McCarthy's ready, and if J.J. keeps playing like this in the preseason, it'll be hard to keep.
It might be week 1
from being a week 1 starter.
Yeah. I'm excited to see what he does. I hope the Browns backup shit all over him because I hate J.J. McCarthy because he's from Michigan.
Well, yeah. But no one likes him.
No, nobody does. Not a single person on the planet likes J.J. McCarthy.
But
except for the Vikings.
In terms of like the look and feel of his game, like it looks like a similar type of game as like Kirk Cousins had. So I feel like they can kind of run that same offense with him, which I would agree. Also, Sam Darnold kind of fits in that mix. We just know Sam Darnold's ass already. So
yeah, he's not good.
No, I mean,
not good.
All the talk about that draft class, like the jury's finally out on Sam Darnold, but he's not good.
It's funny looking back on that draft class, and it's pretty much all ass, right? So
I mean, we'll see. Baker's probably gonna win the division this year.
That's hard.
I mean,
how often?
I'm just saying he'll be in the playoffs again.
How do we? Every show we get into, it always comes back to Kenny talking about Baker and how he loves him.
I'm just saying Sam Darnold's not going to be in the playoffs because he's good. Baker probably will be in the playoffs.
You're that guy that we all hate that just can't let it go. But anyways, notable roster moves. Just 1 week into the preseason here, John Kelly has officially been cut. Happy trails,
Happy
John
trails.
Kelly. Lost a fumble and he was done.
Yeah.
So
it's one of those, like, you can't put the ball on the ground in the preseason. Like, you're playing backups. Anyways.
Well, especially with the running back room as deep as it is.
Yeah, I mean, you're all fighting for a paycheck, like, right now.
And I will say the running back room as a whole averaged 2.7 yards a carry in the first preseason game, which is awful. Yeah. But nobody else fumbled besides you, so you're out.
You're out.
Does this mean a bigger workload for Aiden Robbins, you think?
I mean, I hope so. Look, we've been intrigued.
I just asked the question because obviously I'm the most intrigued on the show about him.
We've been intrigued by Aiden Robbins. I think like it would be almost like the old Tennessee backfield when they had Lendell White and who was there? Was it Chris Johnson at the same time? Lightning and Thunder?
Yeah.
Or was it somebody else?
No, it was, well, in college it was Lightning and Thunder. It was USC had Reggie Bush.
But that doesn't count. The NFL Lightning and Thunder was more important. It was still Lendell White was Thunder, but
I thought you were Thunder.
I think it was Chris Johnson that was with him, maybe.
It probably was because he was super fast and he was on the Titans. I thought you were Thunder, though.
Oh, I am Thunder. I'm Thor.
No, I'm Thor. You're Thunder.
I'm Thunder.
You don't have any hair. You can't be Thor.
Regardless, I would hope we see more of Aiden Robbins. I think it would be a really interesting 1-2 punch if you had a guy that was more of a power back to fit the kind of like, I don't even know what you call Nick Chubb, like the 5-tool player. Like he
has
every skill.
He has running back. Well, it would be interesting. To your point, it would be interesting. So you have Pierre Strong on the roster, who I think is going to probably make team over. I think I still am sticking with. I think Jerome Ford might be cut, but so if you have maybe not early because we still got to wait for Nick Chubb to come back.
On the broadcast that he was the yards per carry leader last year for them.
Well, yeah, because of 3 rushes the entire season, all of which went for 80 yards. So, yeah, of course he was. But, no, so Nick Chubb.
Not Jerome, Pierre Strong.
Oh, Pierre Strong. Yeah. That makes more sense. Yeah. So, and that's even with his with Jerome Ford's 3 rushes that were 80-some yards each. But anyways, you got Pierre Strong, who's fast, so he could be the Lightning. You got Aiden Robbins, who's the big, just bruiser that could be the Thunder, and then you got Nick Chubb who just does everything.
Yeah, 5-tool.
So, like, what? How do you stop that backfield?
Well, Stefanski's going to stop it because he's going to throw the ball 60% of the time, 80% of the time. Probably.
Oh, there's that. He's Stefanski right now. We respect him. You toe the line here until he fucks up.
I'm just saying, like that. I expect our offense to be pass heavy. If Deshaun's healthy.
Yeah, I agree.
Now, if Deshaun is, we'll see what he looks like. We might have to go run first, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. But for the 3rd season in a row, the Browns had the fans vote for the field design.
And thank God this fan base is not as dumb as I had predicted they were last week.
You thought they were going to go with the dog just because it was the 2nd year in a row. Like,
yeah.
I still stick by. I think the Browns are trying to get the dog on because I think they want it to stick.
Oh,
and so far, I don't think it's fully stuck with everybody. I think like people are kind of like, I'm okay with it, but it's not like we really like this logo.
Especially because we know that logo was a plant to begin with, so they obviously want it to stick.
Yeah.
They were so clever to have this thing with all
both of the last.
Look, it's got the 4 for the teams in the AFC North and the stadium. And
in my opinion, both of the final 2 are plants.
Oh, well, you're wrong. More importantly, though,
they were both plants.
No.
Yeah.
More importantly, though, Elf is at midfield again.
Yeah, the Elf.
Brownie Elf is back.
Brownie the Elf won. So and actually the dog stays completely off of the field with this because it's Brownie the Elf at midfield and the helmet will be in the end zone.
And maybe, again, so my apologies to the fan base as a whole, because you didn't make the wrong decision. So that's good.
I was surprised, though. The dog came in second and the helmet came in third. I thought the helmet would come in second and the dog would come in third, but it did not.
I think maybe because there were so many good vibes from last year. Like, the team has been good.
That's true. It was the
midfield, like
that, and it was for the dog. It was the first year, like not the first year, but like we were. A lot of great things. It was a lot of fun watching the Browns last year. It was the first year that the dog was a thing.
I think every fan has a level of superstition to them.
Yeah,
you know?
I agree.
It's like if things are going good, you don't want to change it.
Yep. So,
making the playoffs, regardless of the fact that they lost, making the playoffs is a good thing.
Yeah, and I mean the first year with the dog, and you have the legend of Browns quarterback Joe Flacco.
Yeah,
it was fantastic.
It's a good thing.
But speaking of the field, the Cleveland Browns unveiled renderings.
I'm gonna get sweaty here.
Of a new dome in Brook Park, and this is a thing of beauty. This thing was fantastic. It looks like we finally.
It's everything that I hoped it would be.
Yeah. Absolutely. It looks phenomenal.
It's beautiful, modern, glass palace.
The best part about the whole thing is that, like you said, it's a glass palace. And like the flyovers that they did, and you could see the entire field. And they kind of put the field almost in a pit. So when you come into it,
tornado safety.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely some protection in there. I just went and saw Twisters over the weekend. So
how was that?
It was a lot of fun, actually. It wasn't like I'm not gonna sit here and say it was a great movie. It's kind of like the first Twister.
No, but it seemed like the cast and stuff was kind of like fun.
Yeah, it was like the original Twister. Like it was like if you watch that movie, the acting's not the best. Like it's kind of cheesy. The science doesn't really hold up. But you watch it and you're like, this is pretty fun. Like they're just running around with Twisters, and that was kind of how this one was. So I liked it.
Tornadoes are scary as hell.
Yeah, they are. But so yeah, you create like a giant I don't know bunker, if you will. But anyways, my point was that it's cool that when you're coming on the main level into the stadium, the main level is like the upper terminal almost. Like you're at the top of the bowl and you go down into the stadium. So when you fly over the stadium through the glass, you just get this like panoramic view of the entire stadium, and it just looks amazing.
It just looks like an incredible campus. It's everything that we've been talking about, right? When we talk about there's going to be shops and hotels and restaurants and bars, and thinking about like they obviously what they conveyed to the team that did the renderings is like they want this to be a place for Browns fans 12 months a year.
And it conveyed to me like it was exactly that. Like right? They showed you why this would be a good thing for not only Cleveland but Northeast Ohio as a whole. Whereas everything with downtown so far, in my opinion, has been all about how can we help Cleveland? How can we do this? Which is all well and good. I understand the businesses down there, this and that, but this was more of a regional thing that they rolled out, and you could see it.
And the two things that were like really stuck out to me that I thought one was really cool, which was the wintertime variant that they ran. It had the ice rink out there. It's like that would be like people will be doing Christmas shopping and like coming in to stay from out of town. They're staying in hotels out there. And you have this whole like new center of commerce and activity like centered around the stadium.
Dude, I like the concert renderings. Like it looks legit for concerts.
Let's be honest. Like that concert that they put in there in the rendering, like that was aimed at Taylor Swift. Like there was no. I mean, I don't know if the picture on the actual screen was Taylor or not. It probably could have been, but like it was Taylor Swift, right? Like they're saying, hey, we were never going to get Taylor Swift this time around, but maybe the next time she's on tour, this is the place that she would love to come.
Well, it's funny, like with the whole concert thing and having different events. I just think it's hilarious that everybody points to SummerSlam this year and the fact that they had the two big concerts with like Rod Stewart or whoever it is up there. And it's like,
which is an anomaly.
Yeah, we haven't had concerts there in years. We haven't had a wrestling event there in years. So like to me, that was the city of Cleveland with like a last ditch effort of let's show people that we could use this outside of football.
And it isn't like it is nice to have an outdoor venue for those sorts of things, but like there are plenty of those in the area. Like,
trust me, the WWE is looking at you for far more events if you have a dome or a roof, whatever you want to call this thing. 'Cause it's not technically a dome, but if you have a roof over your stadium versus what we have now, they're looking at you for far more.
And specifically for the WWE, I mean, the WWE loves to be in a venue that has state-of-the-art lighting and sound systems because they're trying to get away from pyrotechnics so much because of the insurance costs and things that it drives. So to have state-of-the-art lighting where they can still do all the laser light show stuff that they want to do and the 3D animation and VR stuff that they want to do on the TV. They love that sort of thing. So, yeah, just the fact that, like, this thing is so versatile now. And again, for me, like, the important thing is, like, this thing is built, it's the community around it. It's all the stuff that's going to go in around it, because there's going to be nights where we're like, hey, let's go to Joe Thomas's bar for dinner, like, just to go up there and, like, hang out for a couple hours, just for something to do.
Yeah, and I will say this: they kind of they didn't put all their eggs in this basket. The Haslams did come out and say this isn't a done deal. This is what we have in mind. It's still undecided.
This whole conversation is very political in nature, though.
Yeah, but I will say, with the writings on the wall, you don't put this much effort into something unless that's your plan.
No.
Especially when it comes to renderings like this. Like, those renderings, I'm sure, cost a lot of money.
Yeah. Because there was a lot of thought put into them. I mean,
Yeah.
the whole way they did the seasons and showing all the different ways it can be used. I mean, there was some significant work done on those.
Yeah, and in the meantime, so prior to them releasing these renderings, or the same day I think it was, the Cleveland Browns put out their we talked about it last week. It was when we recorded last week that they put it out there. Like, this is our bid to keep the Browns on the lakefront, all this stuff. And they gave the Browns a deadline. Well, the Browns responded yesterday on Sunday, and they said they need more time than what was given, and they kind of called it, which I thought was great. They called out the city for arbitrary timelines and how this is kind of what got them into the mess with the current stadium in the first place, is the fact that it was rushed through. Yep. No thought was put into it, and that's why it wasn't a stadium that was built to last. It was a stadium that was built to be a fix for the next 20 years or so.
Well, it was built to be ready for 1999. It was the thing. It was built to be ready for the team to play in, and that's it.
So there was no real thought put into it, and I think by releasing these renderings, and to your point, it shows that there was a lot of thought put into this, and there continues to be a lot of thought put into this, and that it's not done, and that this is just the vision, and there's more work to do.
I'm honestly surprised still at the amount of kind of pushback I've seen from fans on this, because, like, I looked at this and I was like, build it yesterday. Yeah. Like, build it yesterday.
Let's go.
Let's have this thing done. I'm surprised there's still a population of people that are looking at it going, I'd rather be outside. I'd rather freeze my ass off for 6 hours on Sunday. Like,
shout out to our boy at the North Jersey Browns backers, Kevin over there. We love Kevin, and that was his take on it. He's like, well, it's Northeast Ohio. It's football if you're out in the elements. But here's the deal. Like, just from the fact that I'm a huge Browns fan, and I like to go to the games. But guess what? Basically, like, the middle of October, I'm done going to Browns games, because I'm not a young guy anymore that wants to go out there and freeze my nuts off. Like, I want to be comfortable watching the game.
And maybe somebody like Kevin is somebody that wants to come to Cleveland.
And more power to you. Yeah, I'm not.
But there's not a lot of those guys out there anymore.
No. The majority of people, I think, are like us, and we want to be comfortable.
And
watching
I can understand the nostalgia of old school fans that are like, I love having a stadium on the lake and the wind. But it's just like, to be honest, like, the population is kind of moving out. Like, there's a lot more people that are coming that we're trying to, like, include and bring into this now.
Right.
And here's the thing.
And everything around the stadium goes into that. Right. Like, all the stuff that younger people want to do.
That destination will be the crown jewel of the NFL for 4 or 5 years at least.
Yeah.
I mean, that will be like Jerry World was when it opened. They'll get every event known to man coming through Cleveland, Ohio. I mean, what an incredible facility to have. And what an incredible tool for your city to have.
And here's the other bigger, more football-related part of it, too, is we've talked about this.
You get the Super Bowl?
Well, yeah, you get a Super Bowl. Yeah, that's fantastic. But we've talked about this at length off air, is today's NFL, it doesn't benefit you to be in the cold. No. It just doesn't at all. And I don't care what anybody says. It doesn't matter how good your running game is. Today's NFL, hell, you go to like besides the games where it's literally a snowstorm during the game, which hardly ever happens. And when it does, the last few years we've seen they cancel the games.
The last time that the weather being as shitty as humanly possible benefited the Browns was when Phil Dawson was in uniform.
Yeah. Because
Phil was a magician with the wind, understood the city, understood the elements. But he's one guy out of the hundreds of players that have played for this team since 1999. Today's game doesn't rely on kicking, doesn't rely on running, doesn't rely on defense. It is a pass-happy, air raid everything. And it's about speed. And if your defensive backs can keep up with the wide receivers, if the wide receivers can run great routes, like speed and separation. And that doesn't happen in the rain and the snow.
And again, they in the snow, like if it's snowing, guess what they do? They clear the entire field beforehand. So you're still throwing the ball because the snow's not a factor.
And again, like there's iconic shots of those snow games, right? So like I can
get the nostalgia part
with
of it.
The nostalgia of it, but like it's just not the way the NFL is going.
You know why? Other than maybe one or two outliers, like there's no games in recent memory that fit those. Like all that footage of those snow games are from like at least 10, 15 years ago.
Well, and I think the thing that tricks people is like they go, oh, Browns, blue collar, hardworking town, the snow is a benefit to them. It's like, what team have you been watching? Because when was the last time that it was cold and that was like a huge advantage for the Browns? The Browns were like 12-4 because they got the snow. They got 4 games in the snow. Like that's never happened. Anytime it gets cold, we lose.
Yeah, I mean, a matter of fact, 2 years ago when Nick Chubb was healthy for the whole season, we were one of the best rushing teams in the league.
I mean, like,
did it benefit us at all? No, we didn't make the playoffs.
Even with the last like 4 or 5 years where we've had a decent record, we're still like the losingest team since 1999 in terms of win percentage.
Yeah,
and we do it in the elements.
Yeah.
The best argument that I've seen, quite honestly, for keeping the team at the lakeshore and open to the elements is that you play in the AFC North and you'd be the only AFC North team with a dome. And I was kind of like, yeah, it makes you look soft. But hey, I got the crown jewel of the NFL and everybody's coming here.
Yeah, I don't care. To me, it doesn't. That doesn't even matter to me. Like that, you're talking about perception at that point. Like, who cares what the perception is? If you go out and win games, nobody's gonna give a shit.
Right.
Like if you win a Super Bowl in this thing, nobody cares.
Well, it's kind of like
that you did it. You don't get an asterisk because you did it in a dome.
It's kind of like the helmets and stuff to like the uniforms and stuff to this day. People are like, I never want to see a logo on the helmet and all this stuff. Or like, you know what? Let's change the jerseys. Let's change the color. Like this team has sucked forever. Let's do something different.
I say we put River on the helmets.
Yeah, like I'm in favor of change. Like we can't be afraid of change forever. Like this is a good change. It's good for the community. It's good for the city. It's good for all of the people in Northeast Ohio. It's one of the few things that would make Cleveland like a destination, like a summertime destination. Like if you could go, if there was a bunch of shopping and stuff in this village, like people travel for that kind of shit. How many people go to Columbus? Like,
how many people
a weekend to go shopping and stuff down there?
Right. How many people travel to Cleveland each year because they want to have a snow game? No one. Literally nobody. Not a single person. Hey, Kevin, we love you, but do you actually come here every year specifically for a snow game? Because I'm pretty sure you said the one you're coming to this year is the Giants, which is very early in the season. So
it'll be nice, though.
Again, we love you, but you're coming to a warm game. So, I don't know. I think ultimately they're going with Brook Park Dome because it makes too much sense for them to go another route. Like, it makes too much sense. That option does for them to even consider.
I think the only consideration at this point is cost. I mean, let's be honest. Like Jimmy's not the youngest guy on the planet. Like, do they want to make the investment in the time and the money that it takes for that?
And that's the only downside. But on the other side of it, it sounds like from what they've said when they released the renderings that they kind of already have most of that lined up. Well, they have private investors that are ready to.
Not saying Jimmy's on the verge of death, and nobody thinks they're going to die tomorrow.
That was the other thing is the percentage of taxpayer money is exponentially lower. Yeah. With Brook Park Dome because they said they have so many private investors that are ready to jump on this thing and get it going.
Yep.
So
and I don't know. Here's my final point on this too, is it's huge for Brook Park.
Yeah.
I mean that's going to be massive for them in terms of bringing in revenues for infrastructure projects and things. And here's the thing: if you've been in downtown Cleveland, how much new building is happening in downtown Cleveland? Not a lot, because you're waterlocked you're landlocked with the lake, right? So you can only build out this way. The city is going to continue. It's called urban sprawl for anybody that's not super high on their political science and geography and all this. Like the city is going to continue to come this way. It's going to continue to merge south. So at some point, Brook Park, Cleveland,
it's all going to be one. It's not going to be
all going to be Cleveland.
Yeah.
Because the people are going to keep moving to the city just because that's how cities work.
But they move to the outskirts. They move to the suburbs at the very edge of it.
And the suburbs are going to keep coming back and back and back because they're going to want to put new skyscrapers in if there's more people and there's more business and there's more stuff and more restaurants and more shopping. It has to come somewhere. It has to come south. Yep. So this in 15 years, Brook Park may be the entrance or the middle of Cleveland.
Yeah. I agree with you. I don't think we can't drive this home enough. The Brook Park Dome makes too much sense.
Makes all the sense.
You got to go with it.
That's why there's a bunch of smart people in Cleveland that are willing to spend $2.5 billion on this because it makes all the sense.
The one thing I will say is this is turning into a political nightmare because the freaking city of Cleveland and Cuyahoga County are already talking about blocking this thing, which is ridiculous. This is what. Even with the pushback that you said from some of the fans, I think overwhelmingly the majority of the people that I see talking about this, it's about how they love the dome idea and they want to go forward with that.
Yeah, and we've talked about getting to the stadium on game day. You're still going to be able to have tailgates and things downtown Cleveland and have your bars and restaurants have parties and things. You got to drive an extra 15 minutes. It was taking you 15 minutes to get to the stadium anyway.
I saw a thing. I don't have the. I don't have a bibliography for this thing, but I'll tell you exactly where it came from. But
Biblioteca?
Yeah, there was a research study that was done on the impact that a dome would have on the downtown businesses, and there's some evidence that they put into this thing that said it could potentially actually help the downtown businesses. Because they're still getting business regardless because it's in Cleveland on game day. But a lot of the congestion and all that other stuff is relieved. So people can get around there a lot easier. They can throw big events and big parties downtown because there's not the entire flow of the stadium preventing them from doing that.
Well, not to mention, a lot of people that are going to those tailgates and stuff at those bars are going to the stadium at game time. So now your bar's empty from 1 to 4.
Yeah.
Now your bar can stay filled with people that aren't going to the game.
Right. So, yeah, build the dome.
Build the dome.
Build the dome. Next up here, AFC North news. Real quick, we'll take a quick trip around the AFC North. And
okay.
We'll start with the Bengals. Joe Burrow looked good in the preseason debut. He was 5 of 7 for 51 yards and a touchdown.
F Joe Burrow.
I agree. People are pointing this and saying, see, Joe Burrow is back. He's back. But once again, I just want to throw out there, you guys do realize this is preseason, right? He's probably playing against all backups. And I just got to say, slow down, Speed Racer. The guy's coming off a major injury to his throwing arm, just like our quarterback is. So, you can't put too much stock into the preseason and what's happening in the preseason. So,
yeah,
just relax. In our opinion here, everybody else will tell you something different. Apparently, the Bengals are going to win the division according to everybody else. We don't think so.
NFL.com has us last in the division.
Yeah, well, NFL.com can suck it. Next up here, in Baltimore, still not much coming out of Baltimore. We did get to see their backup quarterbacks in the preseason debut, though. And I'm really starting to doubt that this team is going to do anything. I'm doubting this team more and more as time goes on. Again, NFL.com probably has them finishing second, I would assume, to the Bengals, because that's what most places, most media outlets have them finishing as Bengals 1, Baltimore 2. I don't know. If Lamar goes down, this team is fucked.
Well, yeah, if Lamar goes down. I've been burned by Lamar too many times to be like, he's not good enough.
I'm not even talking about he goes down for the majority of the season. Even if he misses a few games, their backups, I don't know if you saw any of this, their backups were awful.
Well, and I agree
so bad.
And I think the AFC North is going to be, the margin for error in the AFC North is going to be so small because it's going to be hyper competitive.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you miss 2 weeks or 3 weeks with an ankle sprain, that could make or break your season.
Absolutely.
I think one of the most interesting things I've heard was what you said before we jumped on camera here about Tyler Huntley, which is it would behoove the Browns to keep him on their roster.
Yeah.
Because the backups in Baltimore don't look very good.
Well, I didn't even think about it until I saw their backups play, and I was like, they are bad. And really bad.
Tyler Huntley has burned us into the past when Lamar's went down. So, yeah, again, the guy's played.
Yeah, he made a Pro Bowl.
If we could hold on to him and just in spite of like keeping him off the Baltimore team, that if Lamar gets hurt, they don't have a viable backup. I mean, look, we're playing 40 checkers at this point.
I can almost guarantee you that if the Browns release Tyler Huntley, he will be a Baltimore Raven before the season starts. So just save this clip, because if the Browns release Tyler Huntley, he will be a Baltimore Raven before week 1.
And that's not good.
No, it's not, because he's far better than anybody they have on that roster.
Yeah.
And then finally, the Steelers had their first preseason game as well, which AFC North went 0-4 in their preseason games. So we all suck, because that's how you judge teams, is off the preseason. But anyways,
obviously.
Steelers had their first preseason game. Justin Fields could not hang onto the ball in this.
What
did he fumble twice? Yeah. And so I will say this, though. He looked electric. Other than that, like he made plays with his legs. He did some good things. Like he looked really good in this, to the point where like reporters literally had to ask Mike Tomlin. They're like, well, he did a lot of good. Like, do those fumbles undo it? And it's Mike Tomlin, so he was like, absolutely. Like, you can't have fumbles. So
I saw a lot of criticism about him holding onto the ball too long. In fact, out of last year's numbers, he's one of the slowest to like get to a release point. It takes like 3.29 seconds or something. In that same vein, C.J. Stroud was also in the top 4 longest to release.
Right, so he's
fantastic.
phenomenal.
But I
put more stock into the fact in that stat that he played for the Bears and they sucked.
Well, yeah. I was also though watching them kind of break down, just an ESPN breakdown this afternoon on. Orlovsky was looking at some of the receivers going like, hey, like these guys are not even running the right routes. You got receivers running into each other and next to each other. Like, of course he's holding onto the football.
Who's he supposed to throw it to?
Throw it. Yeah. You know?
One guy can cover 3 receivers. Like, what are you going to do?
Yeah. So it's like, I think we have to, it's early in the preseason. I think it's a new offense, a new team. Again, a lot of these teams aren't showing anything right now. So it's more just like repetition of like pitch and catch and what can we get done out there.
I think the big thing here, though, is just this is turning into a very tough decision in Pittsburgh on who they're going to go with in week 1, whether it's going to be Justin Fields or Russell Wilson. I
predicted last week, I think this thing's going to be a shit show all year long. It's going to be whoever they pick for the starter week 1, they're going to wish they picked the other guy 4 or 5 weeks
and then every time they switch, they're going to do the same thing.
They're going to go, well, shit, that didn't help us. Yeah. And then they're going to go back to the other guy. It's going to be a disaster all year long for them.
Yeah, so
which I'm here for.
Yeah, good for the Browns. Yeah. Good for the Browns. I can't wait till Hard Knocks shows up, and I hope they're back and forth at that time too. And by that time, I don't think they will be, unfortunately, but I hope they're like 6 games under 500, and they're just like, what the fuck do we do? Like
hard box.
I don't know what that means, but anyways, one note from around the league real quick before we close out the Burning River Rundown. Jonathan Taylor wore a Guardian cap for the first preseason game for the Colts. And so it actually, when he came out with this thing, I didn't even honestly notice that much at first. And then they kind of pointed it out on the broadcast. And I was like, oh, he is wearing a Guardian cap, because they put this like skull cap over the Guardian cap. So many caps. And it looks, it's designed to look pretty much like their helmets. And so when you realize that it's a Guardian cap, you look at it, you're like, okay, yeah, that's pretty bulky. But like just in the flow of the game, like it's hard to notice when they're just lined up ready to go. So
I will say, I make it a point to go to Browns camp once a year just to kind of see what's going on with my own eyes. I was fortunate, we're going to talk about camp a little bit later in the program, but I was fortunate to get to have the chance to go last week. This was the first year that I can remember everyone had a Guardian cap on in practice. There was not a single person that did not. Maybe the kickers, but for all team drills, all the individual drills, everyone had them on.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see how much adoption is across the league.
Well, and I haven't heard too much. There was one for the Browns, but I haven't heard too much about concussions in the preseason. So,
and they said this thing was like magic last year. And we've all said, why don't they just wear them all the time?
So my point to this was just, will we see more of this than we think this year? Especially because Jonathan Taylor, that's a big name to be wearing a Guardian cap. Like he's a star running back in this league.
I've never worn one because they weren't around when we were playing football.
Right. Plus, we were just way tougher than these guys.
Way tougher. I mean, concussion's concussion.
Yeah. I've literally had like 14 of them, and I'm fine,
We
I
eat
think.
concussions for breakfast.
Yeah. I'll take another one.
Thank you, sir. Can I have another?
Yeah.
I just have to imagine.
Concussions are no joke.
No. Yes.
I apologize.
Head injuries are serious.
Yeah.
We are still tougher than them. I just have to imagine, like, a football helmet already is bulky and heavy. Like, just adding layers to that just to me seems like it could only slow you down.
Yeah, and
especially if you're a skilled
and I see that
guy.
the thing that confuses me too, right, is a concussion in nature. Like everybody thinks that the blow to the head is what causes a concussion, and where it absolutely can. Most of the time, it's actually the fact of like the recoil. Like your head is actually, you get hit, your brain goes the opposite way and bounces off the other side of your head, and like inside your skull, and so you get a concussion because you're like my brain hit the side of my skull. So to me, to your point, if you're adding more weight and stuff, one, I don't know how more padding is going to, they say it does, but I just don't understand how it reduces number of concussions when a lot of times it comes from the recoil, like whether you're hitting the ground or hitting something else after you've been hit.
It seems like in recent years, the recoil on the ground has been like the big culprit.
Right. So I don't know how more padding is going to stop that, because the padding has nothing to do with it. It's the fact that your head is bouncing off the ground, and then it's like a sudden stop for your brain
through the front of your skull.
Right. So like I don't know. It's odd to me, and I would like to see, like, the Guardian Cap numbers have been taken during training camp and preseason when most people aren't going full go anyways. So it'd be interesting to see, in my opinion, like a lot of people wear it and see what those numbers come back as during the regular season.
Yeah.
Because people are going full go, and you're actually going to get real game time data out of that. So
it still just amazes me that we don't have concussion conversations.
Do you say data or data? Or you go both?
I go both. I go both.
I say both. I just thought of that as I said that. I was like, I said data. I usually say data, but I go both. And
depends on who I'm talking to.
I don't know. Yeah. You're an idiot, so I went data.
I wouldn't data either. Look her. I barely know her. I just still, it's amazing to me that in 2024 we still are having concussion conversations in the NFL, and we don't have them with rugby, with MMA, boxing. Like,
you know, the difference is, I agree with MMA
just
and boxing.
to me.
I don't know. It is weird.
It's like the only sport that we care about people getting their ass kicked.
It is weird, but so Guardian Cap's the future. The future.
Definitely the future of practice, because again, there wasn't a single hat on without a Guardian Cap on.
Yeah, I guess we'll see. But that'll take us to the Hot 3.
Ooh, Hot 3.
All right, so we're still pretty fresh with Hot 3, so I'll explain it again.
So fresh.
This is a new segment this year where we pick a category and we have to give our Hot 3 or top 3 in that category. From there, we'll post this on social media. You guys can tell us if we're right, wrong, what we missed, all that good stuff. So this week, for our Hot 3, it's fair season in Ohio, correct?
Fair time.
So we're going to do our Hot 3 fair attractions. And this could be anything that happens at the fair, literally anything. Why do you go? That's the objective here. So we'll start with Bone, because we're boneless this week, but he did phone in for this.
Boneless wings.
Well, he didn't really phone in. He just sent it in.
Yeah.
And so Bone's Hot 3 fair attractions. Number 3, Lurch's Donuts.
Love them donuts.
He put in parentheses here, simply delicious. He has no other argument for that other than they're simply delicious.
I think Lurch's is pretty local, but I'm sure there's other like homemade donuts.
So basically homemade donuts at the fair, yeah. So
they're just good because they come right off the griddle and stuff, and
it's always good,
greasy. And
it don't matter where you go. If you get a donut hot off the
fresh
griddle,
homemade donut, I'm about to learn to make that.
Yeah,
I'll probably die.
You probably will.
I could die.
You would eat
so
700. My wife often, she actually in her phone has a donut as like an emoji saved next to my name because she knows I love donuts so much.
I love donuts.
They're
too.
so good. I try and avoid them at all costs because I know if I start eating them, I could eat like 12 of them and I wouldn't even feel bad.
I was always the donut guy at work, but it wasn't because I wanted to share donuts with everyone else. It was because I wanted donuts.
Yeah. I work in sales, so I get donuts for all my customers, and it takes everything in me not to get myself a donut that day.
It's so easy to eat like 3 donuts.
Oh, yeah. Oh, and they have so many calories. So dense.
Bad for you.
They're so bad. Number 2 for the Bone Man. Potato Sack Slide. He said it's the best ride, probably least sketchy, which is fair.
I can get on board with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Have you seen the videos of like they put just like a board under something to like stabilize it? It's just like the ride's bouncing as people are going on it.
I mean, Joe Dirt worked at one of those carnivals.
Oh, yeah.
That's what.
Yeah. You're my sister. I digress. He also said it's fun to go on with your littles, which is probably a good point.
So fair.
I haven't been on the Potato Sack Slide in a while because our daughter's probably a little too small still to go on it.
You could probably hold her this year.
Yeah, did you know that slides are one of the top reasons for toddlers visiting the emergency room? Specifically, toddlers going on slides with their parents, because what happens is their legs get rolled up underneath their parents and then just bad things happen.
Well, that's a stupid parent.
Well, that's fair, but I'm just saying.
You know,
You just set them in your lap and then their leg goes between your legs and it gets rolled up on and bad things happen. I'm just saying that's a fact.
I can't even envision this happening. I wouldn't let my toddler's legs fall underneath me while I was on a slide.
Well, you're smarter than most. But anyways, I digress. I haven't been on the potato sack slide.
I definitely rode with my mom a bunch when I was little, and I don't even remember that being a possibility in my mind.
I mean, that's what I thought when I heard this as well. But I'm just saying that's what
you might as well tell me like the number one reason is because they float off into space. I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. Toddlers often just float off into space. They just float off into space. They get up that high, the air is thinner, and they float off into space.
They're small, and yeah. But anyways, I haven't been on the potato sack slide in a while. I'm sure that will be one of our favorites as soon as we start taking the little one on there as well.
Run over her legs.
Yeah, I won't do it. I won't. I'm a good dad. I'm sorry if anybody's done that to their kids.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Apologies.
But anyways, number one for the Bone Man is the draft horses, which I'll be honest, when I was doing my list, I didn't even think of the draft horses. But he put, they're huge and they don't even seem real. They're just so damn cool. All right, I put the damn in there. Bone Man doesn't swear, so he's a man of God.
He swears if he has to.
Only when he has to, though.
Only when he has
it has to be necessary. I swear all the damn time. But anyways, I would agree with that. Draft horses are pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, this again didn't really clock for me. But when I read it, I was like,
they are pretty wild.
Yeah, pretty neat. It's the one animal that I generally will go see at the fair because to be honest, I don't spend a ton of time at the barns because they smell and they're dirty and you get diseases and stuff. You know, hoof and mouth. Like I got no time for that.
Agree to disagree. I like the animals, but I get where you're coming from. Like I understand the argument.
Like I just like. I don't know. Anyway, they're the one animal that like I generally will walk through the horse barn.
You're like, those are big.
At least on the way in or the way out, I'll walk through the horse barn.
Yeah, they're just so damn majestic too.
Pretty majestic.
So that's Bone Man's hot three: Lurch's Donuts or any donuts, potato sack slide, and draft horses. So we'll move on here. Kenny, what do you have for your hot three?
My hot three. Number 3, counting down to 1. Number 3, Demo Derby.
Ooh.
This is just mostly just nostalgic for me, just memories as a kid. For some reason, it was always important for my dad to take us to the Demo Derby. He often would take myself and Bone or whatever friend was around at the time. They were a different generation that like worked on cars and built cars. So I think like they really enjoyed the Demo Derby. Like, and it was like part of my upbringing that I was supposed to like learn to become a man by like learning cars.
You didn't.
Mine doesn't work like that. You know, like my dad go look at a car or hear a noise and go like, "This is how I'm going to fix it." Like that whole generation though, like grew up just knowing how to do stuff to cars.
Just stuff like that in general. Like just to be fair, you're not that kind of guy. Like I'm your contractor, so I build all your things for you.
Like if my computer has something wrong with it,
see, you can fix that.
Like my mind works in that where I'm going like, what's not updated, what memory needs erased, like what's going. Like I can like my mind is in tune for that, but like cars, I couldn't tell you like how an internal combustion engine works. Like if I had to rebuild one, like I wouldn't. Like there's a spark and a piston and pressure. That's as far as my knowledge goes.
Past that, who knows? It's magic.
But anyway, I mean, my dad was always the big Demo Derby guy.
I didn't mean to shit on you. You're a man.
He was always like
you're not less of a man because you don't know things about cars. Like I don't respect you, but I think you're still
here's
a man.
the thing. I learned how to do all those things, right? I learned how to change my own oil, how to change brakes.
Many a night we spent it at your house changing oil and changing tires and changing brakes and changing all kinds of stuff.
But I hated doing doing it. Like I didn't enjoy. Like I think my dad genuinely enjoyed that. In the same way that when something's wrong with my computer, I enjoy figuring it out and fixing it.
Listen, I never saw Ted light up like when we had to do a full brake change on any of the vehicles. He's like, pulled into the garage. Let's go. You guys are helping me.
That whole generation of men, though, they just loved cars.
He was ready to go.
Car mechanic stuff. So anyway, Demo Derby kind of went along with that, and he was always like, tomorrow's the Demo Derby. Like, let's go to the fair. And we always went when I was little.
Yep.
Number 2, the rides. Oh, my God.
Any other rides?
I love circle rides.
Circle rides.
Now, to be fair.
Circle rides. That's what's going on the graphic is circle rides.
To be fair.
People be like, what the fuck's a circle ride?
You know, a ride that goes in a circle.
I mean, I know what you're talking about, but like who categorizes them as circle rides?
I've always categorized them as circle rides because those are the ones that make most people sick.
Yeah, that's fair.
Most people don't just go, I get sick on fair rides. You get sick on a Ferris wheel. Come on.
It is a circle ride, though. It goes in a circle.
It's an elevated circle.
Still a circle?
No, it doesn't count.
That's all they have at the fair, circle rides.
Yeah, so most people don't like fair rides because they all go in circles. But like Music Express, bomb ass. Scrambler, bomb ass. Tilt-a-whirl, my God, I'll get that thing spinning so fast.
What was it, the roundup, the one where you're stuck to the wall? That's the one.
Oh,
that's the one I liked. When I was younger, I would just go on that thing over and over again, and I would just, that was back before they had all the safety stuff, and it was literally just a chain in front of you. I just crawl all over the place in that thing, and I'm like, I don't know why they're allowing me to do this, but
it was a rope.
Yeah,
it just hooked on.
And they're like, we're pretty sure nobody's going to climb out of it.
No one's going to fall out of this.
Why would you attempt to climb out of the ride?
I will say, to be fair, it's been a minute since, my adult body has been on a circle ride. I'm just
You'd probably get sick now.
Too big for most rides. So I don't know whether I would get sick in, adulthood. But, in early adulthood, in my, early mid-20s, I still really loved the circle rides.
You got hard for the circle rides.
So, yeah, I get it. Yeah, I get it up for them.
And number 1.
The problem with circle rides is so many people don't like circle rides. So I never had anybody to ride with. Was the issue.
I would have rode them with you.
I get migraines or I'm going to throw up. Bone was a huge thrower-upper on the circle rides.
What?
He would ride one and he'd like, I'm done.
I've never lost more respect in one moment for Bone than I have in this moment.
Hated the circle rides.
Oh, I can't go on circle. Take some Dramamine and Mana.
That's right. And then number 1. I mean, let's be honest. What is it? We all know it's
fair food.
Fair food.
Fair food.
Jesus, I can't
believe Bone didn't have this as number 1. What is wrong with
this?
He had a fair food on here, but not as number 1. Come on.
This is why I can't ride the rides anymore.
It's because it's fair food.
Because you got to have a sausage, a stromboli, French fries, doused in vinegar. More vinegar than fries, really.
By the end of all this,
maybe if
you're guaranteed to throw up on the circle rides.
Maybe you fit a corn dog in there, and then you got the desserts: a funnel cake, strawberry shortcake, hot apple dumpling. And you got to save room for a caramel apple. And I don't know if you've seen caramel apples lately in this world, but caramel apples have gotten out of control. Some of these caramel apples
need to stop.
They need to stop. They're getting a little ridiculous. They got peanut butter Buckeye caramel apples, cheesecake covered caramel apples.
Kenny just walked out of the fair with a dozen caramel apples that he had. Caramel apples, you need to eat them within 3 days. So he walks out of there. He's like, I got to eat these 12 caramel apples in the next 3 days.
Yeah, not a joke. Cake frosting and sprinkles on the caramel. All delicious though, but they need to stop because they're out of control. And with all that food, you're probably going 4 large lemonades per gallon at least.
Yeah.
And the fairs have gotten so big now too that you've always got your wild cards on today's fair, right? There's always a barbecue truck.
Oh,
yeah. Who am I to turn down?
Because people just random food trucks just show up.
Who am I to turn down a barbecue food?
I love barbecue. If you don't love barbecue, just get the fuck out of here.
And the deep fried Oreos, or deep fried Buckeyes. I'm not going to eat a deep fried Buckeye.
Have you seen him?
Have you seen me? And then you need another lemonade.
Wash it all down.
Basically, I leave the fair, everything is full except my wallet.
You leave the fair about 26 pounds heavier than you came in.
At least. And pre-diabetics. Yeah, diabetics. Pre-diabetic.
Fair. So I like it.
Pre-diabetic now. I'm full-blown diabetes at that point.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's so many good fair. It's just, I love fair food.
Hey, as far as pre-diabetic, I get it. What's my weakness in food? Like me,
donuts,
sweets, just in general.
Sweet.
I eat so much sugar you would not believe, and not that I'm telling kids don't eat sugar like that because
don't eat sugar or concussions.
One of these days it's going to catch up with me. It hasn't yet, but it will. Other
15th
my
concussion.
triglycerides were super high last time, so there's that.
Yeah,
But-
that stuff's not really a problem until it's a problem. you know?
yeah. Right now, I'm still fairly. I'm okay. I'm in pretty good
Not
health.
having angina. It's just,
It probably contributes to my migraines, but let's not talk about that.
when I got to put a stent in, like that's probably when you know it's serious.
All right, so you got demolition derby, circle rides, and fair food. That's a good one. That's a good hot three. In my hot three, Ronnie Jam's hot three this week. Number 3, nobody had this on there, and it's not technically a fair attraction, so it's a little bit of a cheat, but I put people watching. Because if you go to the fair, you see some wild fucking shit, bro.
True.
Like you see some of the craziest stuff at fairs, like just weird people doing weird things, and I'm here for it. Like I go to fairs and I'm like, and some of the conversations you hear, because a lot of people get blasted drunk at fairs, so, and they go on rides and they do this and do that and do whatever. There's concerts sometimes at fairs. There's demolition derbies where people got drunk for the demolition derby.
I feel like the concerts are the worst ones because you get like a bunch of like middle-aged women that like
it gets
those
wild,
and
man.
have their parties.
So people watching for me, like honestly, if you came with me to a fair, you could just watch my face, and I'm constantly. First of all, I'm already undiagnosed ADHD. Like I can't concentrate. It's
true.
amazing that I do a podcast because
It's amazing you do anything.
which fun fact for people at home, just focus on me for one entire YouTube episode of our podcast. I guarantee you're gonna be like, what is he looking at? Like, what is he doing over there?
The old Joe Biden look.
Yeah, I have no idea what's happening. But anyways, yeah, so you'll just see if you walk around with me at a fair, like I'm constantly like this. I'm just like,
See, I kind of do that in life.
What's happening over there?
And my wife is always like, "What are you looking?" I'm like, "Do you not see this?
how'd you miss that?
Are you not seeing this
Yeah,
guy ride this other guy like a caterpillar?"
Yeah. Exactly. So people watching for me is number 3. Number 2, I went to the animals, and this was, again, draft horses probably would have been in this spot, I'll be honest with you, had I thought of them. But instead, we just went recently, and I'm going with giant rabbits for number 2.
Okay, wait. We gotta break this down. Like a giant rabbit.
I don't know what breed of rabbits these are, but like no joke, this lady brought us a rabbit the other day at the fair, at the Summit County Fair, and it was bigger than my toddler daughter.
So these are just really big rabbits.
They're massive. They're like the biggest rabbits you ever saw.
Okay.
And they're just so big and fluffy and fat.
All right.
And so similar to the draft horses being just insane, like you look at it and you're like, how is that even a real rabbit? Like, where did you get this rabbit and how did it get this big?
Fair enough.
So it was just fresh in the mind because, again, we went to the Summit County Fair and they had several of these. But
I'll have to keep an eye out for the giant rabbits.
giant
this
rabbits,
year.
bro. Just go. You probably won't like them because you'll have to go in and see the animals, and you don't like doing that because diseases and smelly stuff, and rabbits don't smell good.
No. My wife had a rabbit. And I
But-
was like, we need to kill it.
We don't condone killing rabbits on this show.
You have to kill it eventually.
But anyways,
All animals die.
that's
We all die.
okay.
We'll all face that.
I don't
moment.
like where this is going. But anyways, look for the giant rabbits next
Come
time.
into this world alone and you leave it alone.
Can I get on with my hot 3?
Okay.
And then finally for me, number 1, you already said it, fair food, man.
There's no other number 1.
Yeah, it's funny because I can't go with all the fair foods that I want to eat because I would die. I mean, you listed all of them. Everything that you said was delicious, but I try and limit it to like, I don't know, 2 or 3 at each fair that I go to. And I'm like, that's all I can get because if I get more, I'm going to die.
Well, I think so. You said the magic word there. Like you limited to 2 or 3 at each fair. So you're going to multiple fairs.
Yeah.
I'm making a one.
You're a one fair kind of
I'm
guy.
a one fair kind of guy because I'm going to have everything at once and then I'm good for a year.
Shout out to the Randolph Fair. I know that's the one you're going to.
Yeah.
It's one of the best ones in the area. But we go to multiple just because we do enjoy like the animals and stuff. So it's cool. Like the one that shout out to the Summit County Fair that we just went to. They had a really good dog show actually. Where like the dogs were doing all the tricks and doing the obstacle course and all that stuff. It was pretty cool.
Just geographically, like region specifically, there's weird things that happen at fairs.
There are. But so for me, hot 3, people watching, giant rabbits, and fair food.
Do you have a favorite fair food, a number 1 favorite fair food?
Number 1
Or even
for
like
me,
a top 2 or 3. Like what are your go-tos?
one of my go-tos is funnel cakes.
Yeah, funnel cake.
Again, I got a sweet tooth, so funnel cakes for me I love funnel cakes.
Do a little chocolate frosting, a little bit of strawberry stuff.
No, I just go powdered sugar, man. It's just
straight raw dogging it.
Yeah. I just like it as is.
Funnel cake to the face.
Yes.
Yeah,
and I take like the biggest bite. I'm the guy over in the corner that's just like shoving as big of a piece as he possibly can into his face. Like that's me.
Will you put like an excessive amount of powdered sugar on there? Like I'm going to steal the rest of the powdered sugar from everybody else.
Listen, I don't. I let them put whatever they want to put on there. Like what? Like
so
how
you just straight raw dog it. How that comes.
Yeah. But I usually, to your point, if I see a couple different stands and I see this one has a lot more powdered sugar than that one,
you'll choose wisely.
Yeah, choose wisely.
Smart.
So funnel cakes is a big one for me. I really like fair fries. Just like for whatever reason they do it so much better than everywhere else. Like it just hit different.
It's just whether it's ketchup or vinegar. If you put it in a cup, it's
so much better.
It just stays in there good.
Yeah. So that's another one. And then I'd have to say, not technically a food, I guess, but a drink is the lemonade. You gotta have lemonade everywhere. And I hate when you get a bad lemonade. It's the worst. It's one of the worst experiences.
All ice or it's too watery.
So bad. It's one of the worst things because you're like, I paid like $8 for this fucking lemonade, and you gave me.
They're like 12 now, man.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, like, it's. I hate when you get a bad lemonade. So those are probably my top three.
We got
a top three inside of the hot three.
I came home with a bunch of lemons like a couple weeks ago, and Christine was like, "What?" And I was like, "I'm making fair lemonade." I just wanted it so bad.
You put like 14 cups of sugar.
Oh, yeah.
And then a couple squeezes of lemonade, and you got your fair lemonade.
It was the best lemonade I ever had.
Oh, man.
It was so good.
It is good. So that'll do it for the hot three. Are you taking a break?
No, I just
sounded like you were trying to get out of here. That'll do it for the hot three. Let's go ahead and get into the Nick Chubb football giveaway.
All right. Tell me about it.
All right, so for the second offseason in a row, we are giving away some autographed Browns memorabilia, and for the second year...
Is it this one?
It's that one.
Nice.
The one right there. You can't see what I'm pointing at because you're listening. If you're hearing this on
if you're listening, it's on.
But on the YouTube version, you can see it. For the second year in a row, we are giving away Nick Chubb autographed memorabilia, and this year it's a football. So, again, the YouTube version sitting right in front of us. You can see this glorious football. You can see Nick Chubb's signature up in that corner over there.
Yeah.
The winner will be chosen from our YouTube subscribers. These contests are typically done for our YouTube subscribers exclusively. So I'm not saying you have to go and subscribe to us on YouTube. I'm just saying I'm going to choose the winners from YouTube.
And again, for our listeners, not our watchers, this is a 4-panel standard NFL size football. Has Nick Chubb's logo on the front. And has,
not Nick Chubb's logo, the Browns logo.
Nick Chubb's signature, and has the Browns helmet on the front with it's like a material, like it's embroidered like on the football, which is very cool.
Yeah.
And then you have the embossing on the back that says Cleveland Browns, has the established date and all of the years of the NFL championships in orange.
So three white panels and then the normal leather football panel.
Very, very unique and cool collector's piece.
Absolutely. So head to our socials and keep an eye out for more information on how to earn bonus entries as well. But the main thing that you got to remember is you got to be subscribed to YouTube. Because that's who I'm choosing the winners from.
From YouTube.
There's a link in the show notes, or you could just use the handle at Burning River Sportscast to find us on YouTube. And follow us. You might get picked to win a football.
The good news is if you were a long-time follower on
You're already in.
You're already in.
So with that, let's take a quick revenue break. We'll get back here and talk more about the Browns. Towpath Distillery. Towpath Distillery, an award-winning craft distillery located in Akron, Ohio. Towpath Distillery focuses on high-quality spirits carefully made in small batches. Towpath's lineup includes an ultra-smooth, award-winning premium vodka, a small-batch silver rum made from the highest-grade molasses, an American craft gin made with 9 botanicals, and a blended straight bourbon made from corn and rye. Towpath Distillery, now available locally and in 46 states. Visit towpath-distillery.com to place your order online or find an OHLQ retailer near you. Towpath Distillery, handcrafted, award-winning, small batch, local, and family-owned. All right, and so before we get to the few topics that we have to talk about in the second half of the show here, I want to talk to everybody about some upcoming events for the Burning River Sportscast. We have a pretty big event coming up at the end of August here, our first of what we hope to be many more season preview parties. It'll be at Towpath Distillery, located inside the Merchant Tavern in Akron, Ohio. Tickets are $35 and include party admission, front row seats to watch us record our season preview episode, meet and greets with former Browns players John Hughes and Frank Stams, meet and greet with Browns on-field MC Bridget Linton, autograph sessions with former Browns players. Again, John Hughes and Frank Stamms, distillery tour, distillery spirit tasting, and then there will be additional food and drink available for purchase. So come have a kick-ass time with us as we kick off Brown season. Again, the link to that is in our show notes. Kenny, tell them how awesome this is going to be.
Look, I say it every week. It's one of the best restaurants in the greater Akron area, maybe in the whole state of Ohio. The food and everything is absolutely
wrong.
Delicious. The spirits are going to be tremendous. Top-notch stuff. All their core food.
Award-winning.
Is great stuff. So much that I'm going to drink all of it.
You are going to drink all of it.
Punishment. So that'll be one more reason to come is to watch me get blackout drunk, because that's my punishment for losing last year. That and losing my hair.
It's growing back nicely.
Look, John Hughes, just salt of the earth kind of guy. Frank Stamms, hilarious. Bridget Linton, just one of the most engaging personalities you'll ever meet. So we've got a great lineup of people to come hang out. And the stories and things that these guys can tell you, all of them, really, really fun, tremendous stuff. I mean, Bridget gets into a ton of stuff with the on-field antics and things that she sees. She sees a lot of behind-the-scenes things that no one else sees. So I know that between the three of them, like, they will keep your ears busy all night long.
Oh, yeah.
And Ronnie and I will be there recording a show. So
I don't want to say we're the star of the show, but
no, certainly the alumni and Bridget are the star of the show. That and the spirits.
The spirits, we actually, that feels bad. Is that we're
third to alcohol?
We're putting we're putting the party on, and we're
not the main draw. No.
Nobody wants to see us.
Nobody wants to see us.
But come out anyways and see us.
Yeah.
The tickets are very limited, so make sure you get in there as soon as possible. I know they're starting to get to the tail end of those. Get your ticket. Again, they're $35, and you got to get them soon. And then next up here, Burning River Sportscast will be going to New Orleans this year.
Hell yes.
So True Fan Travel, if you haven't heard, they have put together packages for away games for the Cleveland Browns so that the Browns and the Dog Pound can take over away cities.
We bark together.
Yeah, hell yes. So I know that they have trips planned for Las Vegas. They have trips planned for Washington. They have trips planned for New Orleans. And they've got trips planned for Denver this year. So we will be partaking in the New Orleans trip. The event includes optional round-trip private charter flight. That is an add-on that you would be able to purchase when you purchase tickets to the event. A 3-night stay at the Renaissance New Orleans.
It's that's a typo. It's supposed to be an R.
Oh, it's Père Marquette.
Yeah. We didn't know what it was.
Yeah. I knew it was a typo.
I saw it on their website, and I was like, that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. So 3-night. It also includes a 3-night stay at Renaissance New Orleans Père Marquette French Quarter. It's a lot better than Pet Marquette. There is a welcome party. That's an all-inclusive cruise down the Mississippi River with the Dog Pound, Q&A with Kevin Mack, a pep rally the night before, an all-inclusive tailgate the day of the game, tickets to the game at the Superdome, which is the site of the Super Bowl this year, so we may have to go back another time, and on-site trip coordinators to handle any questions or issues that may arise while you were in New Orleans with the Dog Pound. So this is going to be incredibly lit. We are super pumped to be a part of this. Can't wait to enjoy the Cajun food and everything that New Orleans has to offer, and see the Browns kick the Saints' ass in the Superdome.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's a for surety. The other for surety is the fact that we're going on an all-inclusive river cruise. I don't know that I've ever been on.
We're men. That's what we do. We go on riverboat gambling trips.
Make our own beef jerky.
Okay, it's not a riverboat gambling trip. It's just a riverboat trip. But
I don't know that I've ever actually been on the Mississippi.
I don't think I know I haven't. I don't know why I started to say I don't think I have. I know I haven't. So
I'm very excited about this. I mean, we're
green, even though we're in our mid-30s. We haven't seen as much of the country as we probably should have.
Even outside of the Browns, there's historical stuff. This is gonna be a very cool trip. I've always heard good things about New Orleans. Can't wait to partake in some of the food, whether that's crawdads or jambalaya or specifically the beignets.
Gumbo
to be the human beignet. Gumbo, yeah, I mean, yeah.
Jambalaya and gumbo, both those things. Jambalaya, gumbo, and beignets. Those three things get me going. Which
shrimp too? I'm pretty sure is gonna be a big down there.
Shrimp,
Cajun shrimp boat
shrimp.
Shrimp stew, shrimp fried shrimp.
Yeah.
Shrimp scampi,
Yeah.
Can't wait for this. It's gonna be a hell of a trip, and we're going. So why would you not?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's
once again, if you want to get tickets to the New Orleans trip or any of the trips from True Fan Travel, go ahead and check our show notes. There are links. It'll take you to the New Orleans trip, but you could also navigate from there on their website to the other trips for the Browns as well.
And you can work with True Fan. Like, I think they have some different packages.
There's different
You can
tiers.
find like what fits for you.
There's a couple different add-ons as well.
And I would say like just maybe I'm speaking out of tune here, but knowing the guys over at True Fan and their team, they would, if you needed something else specific or you need some kind of special accommodation, like I'm pretty sure that they would go out of their way to make that happen for you.
They're good dudes over there. The only thing we could hold against them is that they're from Philly.
Yeah. They killed Hitchbot.
Yeah, but besides that, they're really good dudes.
Yes, and they want to make your party, your trip, the best that it can be. So check them out.
Absolutely. And so with that, let's get into a couple of these topics that we wanted to cover towards the tail end of our show here. First of all, you mentioned it earlier, the Brandon Ayuk trade seems to be over. The Browns, it sounds like they had a structure of a deal in place with the 49ers.
And it was a good deal.
It was a good deal. We had, what was reported? It was Amari Cooper, a second rounder, I believe.
Third, yeah.
For Brandon Ayuk. And apparently Brandon Ayuk does not want to play in Cleveland. Because he basically vetoed this trade.
He vetoed us.
So one, fuck you, Brandon Ayuk.
Yeah.
And two,
F him.
F him all. And two, it sounds like he may want to play for the Steelers.
Yeah, even
because that's who I want to play for, is the team with the quarterback controversy.
Yeah, it just doesn't make any sense for an AFC North, or like, do you want to come to the AFC North in general? Like, we're not known for prolific passing in this division, so like, why? Yeah. Like, you could go to any other team and there you could make a case for like, oh, they always have a good passing game. I don't know. Like, in recent years, you've got Joe Burrow and Lamar that have been good in the division, but the Steelers haven't had a good passing game since like Ben Roethlisberger was in like his 10th season, which was like 100 years ago. Right.
So as pumped as I was for Brandon Ayuk when this news broke that we were one of like two finalists for potentially getting him, like now both those finalists are gone and apparently the Steelers have emerged as a potential spot. But I think what ultimately happens here is he stays with the 49ers on a new deal because nobody else wants to work with him anymore. But two, as pumped as I was for this trade to begin with, now I just hate Brandon Ayuk.
Yeah, agree. I was super excited about it.
Like anybody that spurns the Browns, like, you're dead to me.
Like, just
the rest of your career, you're dead to me.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you don't have to go out of your way to be like, I don't want to go to Cleveland. Like, there's other channels that you could, like, the 49ers just could have just said, this isn't good enough.
The only argument that I have for Brandon Ayuk is that this sounds like it was leaked by the 49ers to like kind of paint him as like unreasonable.
And I will say that like it's starting to look that way, right? Like that's the perception now, is like he's some kind of diva, wants more money, wants to go to specific places.
Hell, that's how I look at him. So if that's what if it was the 49ers, that's what they're going for, mission accomplished, because I don't like Brandon Ayuk anymore. He's
starting to run the risk of like heading down the Antonio Brown path, where it's like, okay, maybe he doesn't have the head injuries that he has, but the personality traits are similar in terms of like, can we even work with this guy? Like, do the 49ers want him at the end of the day? Like, if you know he's going to be disgruntled all year because he wants more money and you're just not willing to pay it for him to him right now, like, what are you doing?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, Brandon Ayuk trade, that's done and over with. It seems like that ship has sailed. It won't be coming back. But that leads us to number 2 here.
I hope he gets a case of bad dreams and just can't play football anymore because
he's so scared.
Worst dreams. He's so scared. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Nothing like physically harming him, but like he just gets scared.
Yeah.
He gets scared forever.
Just a case of the drops. Like, just drop every ball this season.
Yeah.
Like, that would be my, like, that's what I want to happen.
Small victories.
Yeah, I want him to lead the league in drops this year.
Yeah.
But anyways, that leads us to our next one. So now all of a sudden, CeeDee Lamb rumors have popped up. So it seems like the Browns are for sure shopping out there for a top-tier wide receiver is what it sounds like. But these ones came up.
Makes sense because we know they're not keeping Amari after this year.
Right. But these rumors make sense, even though there hasn't been a lot of firm, information coming out of like what exactly is happening. The writing's all kind of on the wall is CeeDee Lamb's very unhappy with his current contract with Dallas. He wants them to rework it. Jerry Jones came out this past week and said to the media he has absolutely no urgency to get a deal done, to which CeeDee Lamb replied on Twitter, LOL. And so things are kind of heating up down there, and it's just I know this comes up because obviously we got Amari from them, and we got a really good deal on Amari. So could the Browns get another top-tier wide receiver from Dallas without breaking the bank? I don't think it's going to be like Amari, but I think there's a possibility here that you could make something happen.
Browns fleeced the Cowboys for Amari. We should throw a parade.
You mean for CeeDee
Lamb?
Yeah.
Like they did Amari. CeeDee Lamb has got...
Because as good as Amari was, like CeeDee Lamb's on a whole other level than Amari. So
Amari's great. I look at CeeDee Lamb and I see a top 3 player in the NFL.
Yeah.
I mean, not top 3 receiver, top 3 player, period.
Yeah.
Game breaker in every sense of the word, catches everything, can be used in every position, whether he's split out or in a slot or even pulled in tight, can block on run support. This dude can do everything. He's special.
Yeah.
The fact that Jerry Jones has no urgency to get a deal done with somebody that
is insane
is this important to the franchise. I maintain he's more important than Dak Prescott.
Oh yeah.
So it doesn't make any sense to me. So yeah, I would love for things to sour down there and for him to want out and for Jerry Jones to just say screw it, let's get rid of this guy because I'm not playing his games. Hey, Cleveland, I'm here for it.
Yeah.
Unless he comes out and vetoes the trade to Cleveland, then I'm going to
then I hate CeeDee Lamb, too.
Yeah.
No, but I will say, so a lot of the talk, too, there's been speculation that part of the reason that the Browns got into the 49ers race got involved with the 49ers for the race for Brandon Ayuk was to kind of use it as a decoy to feel out what the market is on receivers right now and who they would have to compete with for a CeeDee Lamb. There's a little bit of that. There's a little bit of the fact that they were driving up the price because they knew that the Steelers were interested. And they had information that Brandon Ayuk didn't want to come here anyways. So that's an angle that people were talking about. To me, to be honest, listen, I love Andrew Berry, and I think he's done great things. We question a few of his things, but for the most part, I love pretty much everything he's done here. I don't think any general manager plays that strategic of a game to where they're thinking 4, 5, 6, 7 moves ahead, and they're like, well, I'm going to do this so that they do this, and then ultimately we're going to get into this move and do this. And like,
yeah,
I think it's all conjecture and all a stretch. Would it be awesome if that was actually the case? Absolutely, but now you're getting into like the movie Draft Day. Like Kevin Costner knew everything that was going to happen way down the road, and that's just not real life. So I just don't buy that.
Yeah,
Siri's talking to you over there.
Yeah, she was admiring my shirt.
Oh yeah, hell yeah! Shout out to the North Jersey Browns backers again.
Yeah, dope ass threads. Yeah, look again. I also don't know. Like, is AB really in the market for a number 1 wide receiver? Because that's going to cost, right?
Yeah.
Like a guy like Ayuk, you could pay him an increase in salary, and you could make it work. CeeDee's going to want number 1 money for what that is right now.
Yeah. Well, and so what you're banking on with him, right, is you're banking on if you get him in a trade like that, he's basically a rental at that point, right? Because you might not be able to pay him number 1 money. Now, the other side of that is I do know people are also saying, how do you think we don't have cap space when we were going to have cap space for Ayuk?
Yeah, I think they would figure out the money.
And you've said all along, too, it's funny money, so it doesn't really matter.
I think, honestly, the thing that would stop them from doing that, I don't want to go on quarterback tangents here before the season starts, but, like, if they're not sure Deshaun is really going to be... I mean, the league is full of really good quarterbacks right now.
There are a lot of them out there. That's fair.
Like if Deshaun can't handle the load like he used to be able to,
yeah.
Like if the load is too big,
I'm a child over here.
Way too much load.
Yeah. I get what you're saying.
The load can be too big for one man, and you have to be ready to carry the load.
Oh my god,
the whole load.
Yeah.
If you can't carry the whole load, like you're not a load master.
Right. So
And they may be looking for a load master, somebody that can really carry the load.
yeah.
And so that's the only thing, because I would think that they would want to have a back pocket way to acquire a better arm if for some reason Deshaun doesn't work out here. That's the only thing that I would feel like that's a priority over having the luxury of CD Lamb.
Right. Yeah, I mean it's all interesting. I just think all of it, regardless of which angle you think, even if they are involved with this in the first place, like I don't even know. None of this has been confirmed. Like I said, there's not a lot of firm knowledge about this. It's more rumors at this point.
Well, so this has all been right. Rumor season. So,
but I mean, regardless, any angle that you come from right now, it's all conjecture. Nobody knows what's actually going on with the front office and what they're thinking and how they angled this. It could be as simple as they wanted Brandon Ayuk, and he didn't want to be here. So, and F him.
That I say, F him.
F him all. But anyway, so that takes us to the last subject here. I know you were at Browns training camp this past week with the Browns backers president. So tell us a little bit about your time.
Made mention about the fact that the Browns backers president's summit was in town this week in Cleveland. So they had obviously a bunch of activities planned for networking and things. I know that the Browns backers presidents themselves get to like meet with players and meet with Browns staff and things. So it's a week long full events for them. Really fun and really cool. A lot of like nighttime events and things too, again, for just like networking and having fun. I was fortunate to go with our good pal Robert from Naples to Browns camp on, what was that, Thursday? And a couple of things that just stuck out to me. Again, we were talking about the Guardian caps. I thought that was really interesting that this was the first year that I'd seen everyone wearing Guardian caps. We did have a Nick Chubb sighting. Was not in pads of any kind. He was in the rehab line with Donta Foreman.
Did you just call him Donta?
Donta.
Pretty sure it's Dante.
It's Deonta.
Go on.
Have you seen how it's spelled?
Pretty sure it's Dante Foreman.
Deonta Foreman. Regardless, we watched his kind of rehab assignment, which was kind of a joke, to be honest. But like Nick Chubb was, they were clapping him around as he was doing some real light work.
Being a leader.
So that was interesting. We also got to see up close in our face the tight ends. Njoku, man.
That sentence.
We got to, Njoku can carry the load. He's a load master. That dude can really blow a load.
What is happening right now? Oh my God.
Look, Njoku, dude, like this dude is an Adonis. Like
that dude's a freak of nature.
Like we know, but like here's the thing. Like he doesn't even look real anymore. Here's what I mean is like these guys like Nick Chubb and Njoku, like that are built, especially for football players. You get the big caboose, right? Like, because it's just solid muscle back there because they can run fast and jump high and they're just workout warriors. Well, Njoku also on the front side just has like abs on top of abs on top of abs. So that when you see a side profile of Njoku, he's almost got an hourglass figure now because he's like round in the front because he's got so many abs, and then just round in the bottom because he's got so much ass. And I was just like,
never thought that when I asked you about training camp, I was going to get a detailed breakdown of David Njoku's body and how attracted you were to him.
I'm not saying it's a bad body. I'm just saying it's so impressive, like his whole body.
No, you're saying the opposite. You're saying
it's just muscles on top.
Which
there's
nothing wrong with that. I mean, you really like David Njoku. I appreciate that.
I'm just saying, like most guys that are fit, like you get a little bit of ass going, but then,
is he literally the opposite of you?
But like on the front, like he's washboard flat, right? Like no, like Njoku has so many abs that they're protruding outward now.
Yeah.
To where he's just like a full on like S shape. He's S Club 7.
What does that even mean?
Loadmaster. So just again,
wow.
My point is he was an impressive
guys. We talk about getting full Chubb for Nick Chubb, and Kenny just took it to a whole other level with David Njoku.
He was an impressive, imposing figure.
That's fair.
And he caught everything they threw at him, which was great. And I didn't realize we were watching Vrabel kind of before practice started, and I know he's got a title like special assistant or something, but it looks like, at least on that day, like he was just working with the tight end. So it was cool to see Vrabel out there just busting those guys' asses. Because that dude just is like, he's everything you think Mike Vrabel would be. Like, he just is, he's a runner. He's like,
he's the coach that runs up and down the sidelines.
Have you ever had a coach that was like that? Like, like he runs for play. Like he's like a player. So it was just kind of fun.
It's the guy you want to play for.
Yeah, I mean, a guy that you run through a wall for. Watching the quarterbacks, Deshaun was throwing some really, really nice balls. Jameis threw some really, really nice balls. Saw a lot of, during the team drills, saw a lot of Elijah Moore, which I was kind of like, this is encouraging. I think that...
which is nice to hear, because if you listen to the mainstream media and everything, like you don't hear Elijah Moore's name.
Yeah, I mean, again, and this was one practice that I was at, but it just seemed like he's starting to find a home in that slot role. Whereas,
which is exactly what we said, right? He needs to be in the slot.
But when you have a solid number one in Amari and a 1A or a 2 in Jerry Jeudy, that slot guy becomes so important, because now you can stretch the field, you can play underneath. And Deshaun really didn't take a lot of like first team snaps. Most of the team drills were run by Jameis, which makes sense because he started the game on 2 days later. So most of what we saw Deshaun do was just individual drills. So didn't see a ton of action out of the running back room. Again, there were a lot of guys that were kind of banged up, that were either not in full pads or kind of in half shell with just the shoulder pads and helmet. DeJuan, monster of a human being.
He's a big dude.
Not the Adonis, the S Club 7 that injured.
He didn't get you quite as excited, but he was still big.
But just the most massive. Like, people were like, "Where's DeJuan?" I was like, "Are you serious?"
He's the biggest guy in the field.
That's the guy right there. Like,
he's a whole head taller than everybody else.
The guy's as big as the field goal posts. Yeah. Like that guy.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a fun day. It was cool to be out there with the Browns backers themselves. We did go over and kind of like to the public side where they had all the events and games and things, and kids are running the 40, and Sugardale's giving away free hot dogs. So it's cool to see how camp really has become very like youth focused. Like it's a good time to bring your kids, I guess is what I'm saying.
Bring your wife, bring your kids.
As opposed to like when I first started going to camp, there was some of that, but like not really. Like it's really kind of you can make a day of it, I guess, if you're going out with your kids.
Yeah.
Downside to camp this year, and maybe I missed this last year, was they used to have all the merchandise in like an air conditioned cool barn, and it was hot out there on Thursday.
And you got a bald head.
And I got a bald head. And they had everything coming out of a merchandise truck. So they didn't have the barns open for AC,
boo.
Which felt real bad, let me tell you. But again, overall, like I think we saw a lot of positive things out of the team, outside of the guys that were banged up and injured. Like Miles didn't practice, like he was walking around in shorts too, and all the kids are yelling, trying to get Miles to turn around so he can take pictures and stuff. And but all in all, very good day. Grateful to again Naples Browns backers, Robert, for having me out. It was a lot of fun. And then on top of that, the Browns Summit continued on, which we went to then Friday night to meet with a number of presidents just to talk through a couple of different things we got going on for this year, and meet some new faces as well. It was all in all, just from my perspective, I mean, I didn't get to go to the whole thing or all the events, but we had a lot of fun with the Browns backers presidents that were in town this week. Yeah,
great time there. I had a ton of fun at the after party. PJ Mac Tires, shout out to PJ Mac Tires, is where the Browns backers presidents met up afterwards. So good time.
For sure.
So that'll take us to Gassed Up. All right, so this is a segment where we like to vent about things that are pissing us off, or even something that's getting us really excited. So, Gassed Up. Let's start with, did you go first last week, or did I?
I went first last time.
I'll go first this week. What's getting me gassed up, because it's fresh on my mind, because all the first week of preseason just happened, is overreaction to preseason games.
Overreaction Monday.
Yeah, I can't stand how many people I see after preseason games. This includes like mainstream media, top analysts for football, Like on the big networks that you always watch, they watch a preseason game, see a little bit out of somebody, and they're like, this team has what it takes to win the Super Bowl. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, we're so early in this thing. Like, you have no idea what that team's going to do.
Nothing's even happened yet.
Right. Like, I just don't understand it. And it goes both ways. It's like, that team's going to win the Super Bowl. This team's garbage because they didn't perform well in their preseason game where none of the starters played. Like, what are you talking about? It's a preseason game. The Browns lost 23-10. Oh, we're so bad. The defense was awful. Blah, blah, blah. Like, are you serious? It's a preseason game. You know that, right?
The only reasonable prediction you can make in the preseason right now, that I wouldn't be like, you're insane, is if you were like, I think the Kansas City Chiefs could win the Super Bowl again.
Right, because they got everybody back from the same team that won the Super Bowl last year. So
and just they go every year. So
yeah,
it's like they're one of two teams that are probably going to be in the mix.
And I'm not even talking about like just saying that, for example. Like, if it was a team that on paper could legitimately win the Super Bowl and has a track record of being a solid team, like, okay, like, I'm not going to say that's a bad take. My problem is, like, I'm going to go with the Bengals, for example. Is like Joe Burrow comes out and looks good, so instantly they're definitely a Super Bowl contender like we all thought they were. And by we all, I mean everybody except for Burning River Sportscast, because nobody here thinks they're a Super Bowl contender.
Wait until they have to play the Browns, because Joe Burrow never looks good against the Browns.
Right. So I don't know. It just pisses me off every year I see this, and every year it even goes down to some of the things like I was talking about earlier in the show with some of the Browns fans saying that we need to replace the entire strength and conditioning coach, all the personnel, because we had somebody get a broken ankle. Like, what are you talking? It was a preseason game. It was a freak accident. Like, just stop it. Just stop.
People get hot.
Yeah.
They've been waiting a long time to get hot, though, so that's why.
Well, I'm getting hot about them getting hot, and they need to stop getting hot because they are too hot.
It's just a lot of load going on.
Nobody's hotter than Red Hot Ronnie James. Nobody.
That's fair.
Nobody. I'm done.
I'm done.
Well, what are you gassed up about?
That's the end of my load. All right, look. Here's the thing. I got a couple here, but they're all going to fold into one, so I'm going to try and be brief. I'm going to try not to get too political.
You love briefs.
We already had a political topic today. Let's try and keep this less political, but it's going to get a little political.
I didn't like that. It got sticky.
More importantly, this weekend was the closing ceremonies of the Olympics.
Yeah.
So this is the last of my Olympics talk for probably
4 years.
4 years.
At least 2 until the Winter Olympics come along.
Our favorite fearmongers over at CNN have released studies showing that most of the world's cities will be unable to host the games during summer in the coming decades, essentially from like 2035 to 2050, that the safe threshold of humid heat will be exceeded in cities like St. Louis, Beijing, Rio de Janeiro, Athens, Rome, Tokyo, Atlanta, just as any of the cities that might be in the mix for hosting a future Summer Olympics. And to that I just say, like, the people that can't tell us whether or not it's going to rain tomorrow are telling us that in 20 years, these cities will undoubtedly be too hot for summer athletes to partake in summer sports.
Too hot? I've never heard of such a thing.
That's because you're Red Hot Ronnie James.
Hell yes.
So that was my ridiculous story number one. Number two, I don't know if a lot of people caught this or not, but the betting and the conditions for the athletes that were there during the Olympics. Did you see this? Did you see what
was it poor?
The beds are made of cardboard.
Like actually cardboard?
Actually cardboard. So this actually, I think, started in Tokyo when they were trying to get people to stop banging so much because of COVID.
Which that's a whole other topic that people don't know about.
Well,
like they don't like to talk about it,
well,
but it's a big problem at the Olympics.
It was because of COVID too, as they wanted people to keep their distance. So they gave them these like cheap ass cardboard beds. Well, they carried over the cardboard beds to the Olympics this year, and all of their were green. So all of their cooling mechanisms were this green cooling that like. The rooms were sweltering. It was like 85 degrees in the room. So but essentially, most of the athletes were forced to bring air conditioners from other parts of the world to Paris to keep themselves cool in their room, as well as bringing extra mattress pads and pillows because each athlete was assigned one pillow on their cardboard bed. I mean, think about LeBron James sleeping on a cardboard bed in an 85-degree hotel room.
Guarantee you he didn't.
Did not happen. The U.S. men's basketball team took one look at the conditions, and they were like, no.
You guys realize we're actual professional athletes. Like
They, out of pocket, paid $15 million to rent a hotel for the 2 weeks they were in Paris.
That sounds about right.
To have luxury beds and regular food and stuff to eat. Food was the other piece that apparently was really bad in Paris for all the other athletes. But again, the NBA guys were like, not us. So there's that. Also, back to the sex, condoms.
Back to the sex.
They gave away approximately 300,000 condoms.
And they were all used.
Well, I don't.
Not beforehand, but by the end of this.
They gave away 300,000 used condoms to the Paris athletes. Well, no, I just thought this was like a crazy number because I started thinking about it and I go, there was roughly 10,000 athletes. How many of them were condoms? Roughly half the males. So that's 300,000 condoms for 5,000 males over a 2-week span. Basically, they were expecting each male athlete to bang at least 4.5 times a day for 2 weeks straight.
So much banging.
Like, is that even, like, did no one even compute this? That this was like on a cardboard bed?
Like, it's probably sufficient to say we'll give you, like, at most, like, 2 per day.
It just seems like excessive, right? Like
4.5 a day
across the board.
4.5 a day seems very excessive.
Yeah.
But you can't just say just the males because they had to give them to the females too in case they found suitors that weren't other athletes.
But I'm saying, okay, I guess, but like I'm saying the females can't wear them, right? So
fair.
Maybe they have dental dams or something. And then finally, I'm going to wrap up my Olympics experience.
I don't understand how these all connect, but I'm with you for those.
I'm just pissed off about all of them.
I'm along for the ride.
I'm pissed off about all of them. That's why they connect.
They don't connect then. Okay, go on.
Sha'Carri Richardson.
Yeah.
Sprinter. This one just really gets me going. Because she was suspended in the 2020 Olympics and missed the Tokyo events.
For smoking weed.
For smoking weed. The man who was all over my TV for 2 straight weeks, the man who we opted to carry the Olympic torch into Paris
is literally known for smoking weed.
Is literally known for, like, outside of being in music, the one thing Snoop Dogg is known for
is being high.
Is being high all the time.
I love Snoop Dogg, but I mean, you're not wrong.
Nobody in the Olympics was like, we will take our best athletes out of competition for this. But let them carry the Olympic torch?
Haven't they changed the rules since then? And that's not necessarily it'll keep you out of the Olympics anymore.
I mean, for fuck's sake, I sure hope so. I don't know.
But either way, I get where you're coming from.
But like, just like poor optics.
The optics are
especially
bad,
for somebody like Sha'Carri Richardson. When
you talk about that.
You missed you only get so many opportunities to participate in the Olympics. And she had to miss.
The only thing.
Over arbitrary rules on THC and weed.
The only thing I would say is maybe the U.S. that was their stance on it. Is they're like, this was ridiculous, so we aren't even acknowledging that. But and the fact that like the most decorated, we don't even get started on the most decorated, but the most decorated male swimmer of all time is Michael Phelps, and he also got in trouble after his career for weed and other things, and So I mean, bottom line is weed's not a big deal. I don't know what the fuck everybody's so up in arms about.
Well,
so
agreed. I just thought like. It's like it's
to your point. I understand the optics.
Shitty for Sha'Carri Richardson because she missed a whole Olympics over something that 4 years later we're like, send the highest guy in the country. That's the guy we should send. And he'll commentate all week long.
Fair.
He'll commentate 2 weeks. Fair. He'll do whatever because he's high.
I will say, I actually, I get what you're saying about the optics, but as far as just the fact that the Snoop Dogg was involved, I had no
problem that Snoop was the guy.
Well, and I enjoyed, he was pretty funny. Yeah, like every time he was on the TV, I thought it was great. But
have you ever seen somebody that was high that wasn't?
No.
That's the whole point.
They're all so happy.
I mean, in this case, this made this woman run faster.
Yeah.
She was probably funny as hell.
Apparently, that's what they argued.
She was probably funny as hell, running past everybody else. I'm in first.
I did like in these Olympics the relay when she stared down the girls as she was going through the finish. She was
I mean,
that's right.
She earned that.
She earned it.
Yeah, she earned it. But anyway,
I agree.
That's the end of my Olympics. Is just the
you were so gassed up at the end of the Olympics.
The absolute just irony and just ridiculousness that is anyone at this point in the world that's like weed.
Yeah, that's
get out of my face.
Get out. So with that, let me remind you to call the Burning River Sportscast Hot Take Hotline. Don't forget to call and leave your hot takes on the Hot Take Hotline. Remember, these are hot takes. We want hot takes.
We want hot takes.
We want hot takes. 330-227-8080.
330-227-8080.
330-227-8080. Call now operators are not standing by.
No operators.
It's a machine. We just want to put your recording online.
It's
so that we can
machine.
Talk about it. And be sure to check out our gear, www.thetapinmedia.com/shop. Again, River merch, Dustin Greater Than Justin shirts. Go get them. And that'll do it for us. Kenny, what can we expect next week?
You can expect a hell of a show. Hopefully preseason week 2 is a little more exciting. Hopefully somebody does something besides just losing. I don't care if we lose, but just do something besides losing. So we'll be catching you up on preseason week 2 and the latest training camp and preseason happenings. Also, don't forget to check out our social media for upcoming events and Daily Browns news, as we are 1 week closer to meaningful football.
Hell yes. And check us out on social media. Tapin Media is on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at The Tapin Media. And Burning River Sportscast, that's 2 weeks in a row, man.
That's this podcast.
I'm really losing it. Burning River Sportscast, that's this podcast, is on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at Burning River Sportscast, and on X at Burning River Pod. Find our podcast wherever you get your podcasts. I'm talking Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube Music, Amazon Music, Stitcher, Pandora, iHeartRadio, Podcast, Castro, Good Pods, and so many more. And you know that they take us to Kenny.
Facts for days.
All right, so facts for days. What do you got for us today, Kenny?
Facts for days. I've got some facts.
You wanted to announce it again.
I don't have any facts because my note just shut down, so hold on. Slight technical difficulty here on the Burning River Sportscast. All right, we're back. We're back, and we are in action. Facts for days. In keeping with our theme of the show earlier, our Hot 3.
Okay.
I went to the fair.
Oh, nice. I didn't even know that when I made that the Hot 3.
So, legend has it, number 1, legend has it, that Elvis sang in the youth talent show at the Mississippi Alabama Fair and Dairy Show. Not only did he not win, he came in 5th place.
5th?
The king.
5th?
Now, granted, he was only 10 at the time, so there's still room for improvement. But just to think that Elvis, widely regarded as one of the greatest,
I bet a few years later, that fair, those judges, they felt like idiots. Or they wore it as a badge of honor. They're like, one time I gave that kid 5th.
We didn't like the way he was shaking his hips.
That's the devil's music.
I maintain it's because he hadn't met Forrest Gump yet and hadn't learned to dance. But number 2, that was a good joke. You didn't laugh at it. Fuck you.
My wife texted me at the same time. She interrupted the show. What did you say?
I said, I maintain it's because Forrest Gump hadn't yet taught him how to dance.
Fair.
Yeah. Number 2. At the Texas State Fair.
Not your best, but it was still funny.
You'll find, among other things, fried beer.
How is that possible?
So you don't have to stop drinking just because you're eating. Yeah, that was they must just freeze it in beer cubes.
I am having a seriously hard time even understanding how that's a thing.
I've never seen it at our fairs, but apparently in Texas it's a big thing, is fried beer.
They do lots of everything's bigger in Texas.
Everything's bigger in Texas. So at number 3, Get ready. Pull your shorts up. You might lose them. It's a big load. Number 3.
Let's hear it.
I don't even know how this is legal. Number 3. Pigeons.
Yeah.
Are rolled for sport in Iowa state fairs.
Wait.
If you toss a pigeon just right, they flop end over end like a bowling ball.
What?
So naturally, people do this competitively at the Iowa State
Does
Fair.
PETA know about this?
So I read this and I was like, no. So I Googled it.
Wait, is there videos of this?
This is a thing. There are specific pigeons.
Remember last week we talked about me getting lightheaded for certain things? That must have struck a chord in my body because it shook me to my bones and created some sort of blood clot because I am getting incredibly lightheaded right now just thinking about how you toss a pigeon.
There are certain pigeons that are meant for rolling and others that aren't. So there are actual roller pigeons and they raise them just to be rolled.
Wait. A roller pigeon is a thing?
Just kind of bowling ball it and they just...
Here's my question. You said if you roll them just right.
If you don't roll it right,
do they just flop?
They just go sideways and roll around till they stand up.
I am... What?
I don't know how to pull a video into our video yet. I'll see if I can just for this segment, but there's videos of rolling pigeons out there.
Oh my God.
I just don't understand how this is even like a thing.
Again, I go back to does PETA know about this, or is it Iowa? You said, is it because in Iowa nobody knows what's happening out there? It's Iowa. Nobody knows what's going on in Iowa. Everybody knows they have corn. What?
I was known for 2 things: corn, caucuses.
Oh, I thought number 2 was going to be pigeon rolling.
Well, nobody knows about pigeon rolling.
What the hell is even? What are you doing, Iowa? What is happening out there? Oh my God!
Yeah,
that sounds violent.
Yeah, it's apparently they don't.
How many pigeons per year die from pigeon rolling?
I didn't see those statistics.
I don't know where you're getting your statistics.
Pigeons dying.
It's a problem. Don't just be a part of the problem. Be the whole damn problem.
And only you can prevent river fires. Burning River Sportscast. Burning River Sportscast. Burning River Sportscast. River merch. That's a dope ass dog we got.
Rolling
on the river. Rolling on the river. Burning River Sportscast.
River Sportscast. Good night, Cleveland.
So put your right foot in and take your right foot out. Then put your right foot in and shut the hell up because it's not time for the hokey pokey. It's time for the Burning River Sportscast.
I now have 2 loves in my life. Big city living and a voodoo woman named Phyllis. Motorboat? You play the motorboat? You motorboat son of a bitch. You old sailor, you.
You know what I was thinking during that interview?
What were you thinking? Nothing, because you don't have thoughts because you're a brainless idiot?
Wow.
My name is Uhtred, son of Uhtred.
By the way, I want my foreskin back.
It doesn't matter what you think.
Women's Guide to Anal Sex, and it was the 2nd edition. Who makes the second edition?
The weather outside is weather.
The other one, the finger eating food fingers.
Oh my God! My house is full of shit! He shit everywhere!
Yes.
Ejaculate all over my body and my genitals.
Yes.
Oh no! We suck again!
You don't need fundamentals when you got heart.
and Jesus.
And Jesus.
That's right.
Touchdown.
Number
Anyways,
1.
What do you mean funny? Funny how? How am I funny?
it's going down. I'm
yelling
yelling timber.
Goddamn jets.
Are we gonna?
You're only in this city.
Should we start a meat podcast of like
the meat pod?
slow roasted?
The leads are weak. The leads are weak. Fucking leads are weak. You're weak.
That we should send a team of oil core drillers a la Armageddon to Mars to have them access the newly discovered reservoirs of water trapped 7 to 12 miles under the surface that, when released, will cover the entirety of everything on the planet, less than a mile high.
All I do is win no matter what.
Erroneous on both counts.
I mean, last year when I won and went home, my wife's pants hit the ground.
Wow.
But damn!
Well, I'm sorry, I hijacked your segment for a second to do some good podcasting.
You know why, mister? Because you drove a Hyundai to get here tonight. I drove an $80,000 BMW. That's my name.
I think we've officially lost all of our more conservative viewers. So I don't think they want to listen any longer.
This is it's Mother Nature.
I live my life a quarter mile at a time.
Where's Logo Girl when you need her?
I desperately want to make love to
This cheese
We
girl.
need Cheese Girl now.
Down goes Anderson! Down goes Anderson!
Who's canceled now? Who's canceled now?
Probably me.
You making it for fat people?
I'm not. Just you.
We're a whole race, basically.
No way. You just finger bang their salad. What?
You first get shocked, and then you get the shocker.
Hey, you like to see homos naked? That's cool, man. Whatever. No.
Most people, they're driving along and they're in between meals. They're like, I'm a little hungry. I'm going to have a granola bar. And he's like, I need a cheeseburger.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? Is this not why you were here?
Browns fans, come party with Cleveland Browns legends Josh Cribbs, Kevin Mack, and Joe Hayden. True Fan Travel, an official fan experience partner of the Cleveland Browns, is hosting premium trip packages for Browns fans to Las Vegas, New Orleans, Denver, and DC. Everything is taken care of. Flights, hotels, tailgate, game tickets, transportation, food, drinks, everything that's important to Browns fans. Visit TrueFanTravel.com today and reserve your ultimate Browns travel package. That's TrueFanTravel.com.
Today's episode was brought to you by Towpath Rum. Towpath Rum, silver rum made from the highest grade molasses. Distilled 3 times in a copper pot still, this rum is designed to be the backbone of a great cocktail. So good you can drink it by itself. Available locally in Northeast Ohio and online in 46 states. Towpath Rum.